Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. Marvel, Superman Survival Guide. Chapter 21 Gambling. Originally, there should be no intersection between the two, but Link has become famous in New York recently, and Tony Stark came to New York to check the progress of Stark Tower. Of course, some business partners still had to meet, so Pepper Potts arranged a cocktail party. They talked about playing cards and mentioned Link, a master who has recently become famous. Tony Stark then remembered the guy who won $5 million from him. He immediately asked about it and got Link's phone number. Link had participated in many card games before, involving different amounts of money. It was easiest to win those games with money from gamblers, and it was a lot, so they were easily overwhelmed. Technical rounds often win the least, so Link needs to design traps to win more. This time Tony Stark told him on the phone that the game would be big, but Link never thought he would lose. In the end it would be a check anyway, so he didn't need to bring cash. Jessica looked at Link in surprise and asked, "Is it really Stark?" "Of course, didn't I tell you?" Link said with a smile, "I won $5 million from him. I am so surprised." Jessica was shocked. The next day, the two went out for dinner. Link sent Jessica back and then chose his own clothes, shirt, tie, cufflinks, watch, and leather shoes. He also carried his own weapons, which he concealed with his suit jacket. Link also brought a checkbook and 3 cigars. "How is it?" Link turned and looked at Jessica and asked. "Great." Jessica helped Link adjust his tie, "But don't worry too much about winning or losing." "Don't worry, Stark is no match for me." Link gave Jessica a reassuring look. We went downstairs and drove all the way to a big hotel, where special rooms were available. "Mr. Stark." Link saw Tony Stark after entering. "I didn't expect you to come so early." "Of course, I'm the challenger this time, so I won't be late." Tony Stark invited Link to sit aside. "What would you like to drink?" "Bourbon." Link then took out a cigar. "I learned a lot in Las Vegas last time, cigars and bourbon." "Yes, you should learn to enjoy life." "But I heard that you have made playing cards your career." Tony Stark asked, "And you have never lost so far?" "I haven't lost yet, but I don't have enough confidence to participate in international competitions." Link said modestly, "After all, I still lack experience in this kind of professional competitions. Maybe I'll try it later. They're all professionals there. You may not be able to defeat me today." Stark raised his eyebrows. "There will be 2 more people in a while. One is a director of the bank, and the other one is someone you know, Justin Hammer." "Mr. Hammer, are you still willing to play cards with us?" Link's expression was a little strange. "Haha," Tony Stark laughed, "he is a man who never admits defeat." His tone was full of joking, probably because Stark had instigated him to do so. Soon, the other 2 arrived, and Justin Hammer said to Link, "Today we are playing 13 cards, and I will not lose again. As long as you like it." Link responded with a smile. Tony Stark sat down and said, $10,000 each, doubling is normal, 10 million chips, no problem, right?" "No problem." All 3 of them said there was no problem. The hotel staff then dealt the cards. Link lost at first and then won again. But this time he didn't lose much at first and then he won huge amounts. This way of playing is actually similar to Texas Hold'em. Each player is dealt 13 cards, and the jokers are discarded. Then play the cards, whoever plays all the cards first wins. The rules for playing cards are calculated according to the rules of Texas Hold'em. The other person will lose tens of thousands of dollars depending on how many cards they have left. Link drank bourbon, smoked a cigar, and won easily. Tony Stark asked curiously, "Can you still use psychology here?" "Of course, but this is a secret." Link smiled mysteriously, "If I tell it now, how can I win?" "That's right." Tony Stark nodded slightly. While playing cards, Link said, "I just asked the accounting firm to buy Stark Industries shares yesterday. Will they appreciate in value recently?" "Ha, this is a wise decision." Stark smiled, "Anyway, you won't lose money." "I think so too. After all, the tax season is coming soon and I need to prepare in advance." Link said, "It's a little hasty this time. After all, I'm a poor man who has suddenly become rich. I think you can handle this situation well." Stark had a good impression of Link. This way of playing is actually not small, because there is a doubling rule. Link won more than 10 million in 2 hours, which is almost half of the chips of the 3 people. Take a break and go to the toilet if you need to. Link doesn't need it, so he eats some snacks here. It ended before midnight, and Link became the biggest winner again. After receiving 3 checks, Link gave the waiter a tip of 500 yuan. Tony Stark then said admiringly, "You are really amazing. There is no hope of winning a card game with you. Can we talk now?" The other 2 were also curious, so Link said, "After you 3 pick up the cards, the biggest flaws will be when you sort them out. The rest is up to you to figure out." Stark frowned and thought for a moment, then asked, "Are you judging by our movements and looks?" "Almost. And we need to count the cards. I have 13 cards in my hand, and based on your actions, I can estimate what cards you have and how to combine them." Link's words surprised the 3 of them. "Is this possible? But genius is hard to understand." Stark said, "It's really amazing. You're so amazing, but why don't you dare to participate in the competition? I am only a dabbler now. Those professionals may think of things that I can think of, but they may not be unable to think of them. It is even harder to find their flaws." Link said, "I still need to hone my skills. What I like most now is the technical round. There are many elites in New York, and they all have their own ideas. They are all good opponents." After the game was over, Justin Hammer was relatively happy because Tony Stark also lost. Both of them ended in a tie and both were losers. He also kept teasing Tony Stark, but Tony Stark was not the one in charge, so he planned to go back and use Jarvis to summarize. As for the bank's director, he had no interest in Link and was always trying to find topics to talk about with Stark. Chapter 22 Charitable Foundation. Link returned home and found Jessica sleeping on the sofa in the living room, obviously waiting for him. Link walked over, turned off the TV, and then picked up Jessica. "Woo, are you back?" Jessica asked while she was half asleep. "I'm back, go to sleep," Link said softly. He put Jessica on the bed in the master bedroom, then took off his clothes and walked into the bathroom. The next morning, Jessica suddenly sat up and turned to look at Link. Link opened his eyes and asked curiously, "What's wrong?" "Won?" Jessica asked with wide eyes. Link laughed and said, "Of course I won. $30 million US, how about that?" "Really?" Jessica looked incredulous. "So many?" Haha. Link stood up, pulled Jessica over and kissed her. "Okay, get up, I still have things to do today. I need to cash the check as soon as possible and then buy stocks." "Yes, otherwise you will have to pay a lot of taxes." Jessica stood up quickly, "I'll make you a sandwich." After having breakfast, Link was sent out of the house by Jessica. He first went to the bank to cash the check, and then went to the accounting firm again to ask Langley to continue purchasing shares of Stark Industries. Langley Owsley was very surprised, but did not ask any questions. Instead, he promised to buy as much Stark Industries stock as possible as soon as possible. Link left with satisfaction and turned to go to a nearby bank. However, he did not handle any business. Instead, he specifically stared at the people who went to open the safe, or stared at the manager here to see if they had the same key. Link took several points into consideration, the first of which was that the bank had to be large, with adequate security and a strict security system. Secondly, there is no registration of information. Only the key is recognized but not the person. This is the only way to keep it confidential. Considering the above 2 points, there are not many banks that Link needs to observe. He found 2 nearby, and it turned out that the safe deposit boxes of these 2 banks have different keys. He could only expand the scope. Langley would not put things in a bank with which he had a relationship, so after expanding the scope, Link still conducted a screening. He was not in a hurry. He was the only one who had to do this task, and it was not easy, so Carlson would not rush him. As long as you can give the results yourself in the end, it can be considered excellent, especially if the results you give yourself may be a little shocking. Link didn't find her that day, so he went back home and picked up Jessica to go out for dinner. This time without Tracy, the 2 of them were just the 2 of them, and after dinner they went to see a movie. Link searched for the next 3 days, and finally found it in the last bank on the 3rd day. But it was already late, so he left immediately. As for whether there was Langley's safe here, he would have to check it out tomorrow. Jessica was holding a notebook and looking at job recruitment information. She was thinking about what she should do. Link's reminder was right, to find a job that he liked, but he really seemed to like getting to the bottom of things, so should he become a policeman? Link was a policeman before, but he resigned and became an agent himself? However, as an agent, it seems that she doesn't have much time to spend with Link. Jessica is a little worried. She doesn't want to make more money than or catch up with Link. Does she have to be a housewife? Jessica was a little unwilling, and at this moment Link opened the door and came back. Jessica hurriedly got up and helped Link take off his jacket. Link had been wearing a jacket when he went out these days. Are you done with your work? Jessica asked, biting her lip. Yeah, what about you? Link asked, are you bored at home? No, I just searched for a job online, but it seems that there is no job suitable for me. Jessica said with some annoyance, being a police officer is not suitable, and being an agent is too time-consuming. Link thought about it and realized that it was true. If Jessica went to work, it would have a significant impact on their lives, especially if it was some special work. Originally Link was thinking of pulling her into SHIELD, but now he thinks better of it. He will get her a vibranium suit when he has the chance in the future, but this will be for protection, not for letting her fight. I have no intention of showing off my superpowers. Being an excellent agent is enough for me. Link held Jessica and sat down for a while. He suddenly said, I think we can set up a charity foundation specifically for legal aid. On the one hand, it can save tax, and on the other hand, it can help some people. What do you think? You are responsible for managing this foundation. Please select a law firm with a sense of justice to cooperate with. Link thought of Daredevil. Since Jessica was not suitable for working outside, then she should not work. Instead, a charity fund could be established for her to manage, which would also pay her a salary. Jessica blinked. She had never thought about this suggestion before, but it was indeed a good idea. Can I? Jessica asked. You can learn first. After all, I just used my money to buy shares of Stark Industries. Besides, it's not easy to run a foundation, so we can take it slowly. Link said, we don't need to be famous. We can just do it quietly. After all, I am not a public figure. I am just a professional gambler. There is no need to publicize this aspect. How about you study first? Okay, I'll try to learn and see if I can do it. Jessica nodded. She was very tempted by the suggestion. But there is a problem now, that is, the two of them are not married, and she has no idea about the future, especially her own superpowers, which Link does not know. Everything is unknown, she can only take one step at a time. The next day, Link came to the bank, hoping to see the safe deposit box business. The manager enthusiastically invited Link to visit, which was a very important step. A huge vault with rows of small safes inside. Link turned on his X-Vision and looked at them one by one, saying at the same time, you just need keys here, right? Yes, Mr. Lin. We don't register individuals here. The rental fee for the safe deposit box can be paid in one lump sum, such as 3, 5, or 10 years. The manager introduced the situation. When you need to use it, just bring the key. We only register the number on the key. Link didn't see the entire key, so he didn't see the number, but he didn't need to know. At this time, he can see what is inside all the safes. What he is looking for are files, hard drives, USB drives, disks and the like. Chapter 23 Handing in Intelligence. Soon, he found a lot of targets, wrote them down, and then said, great, then I'll rent one, and I'll bring the stuff over to store it tomorrow. No problem. The manager immediately processed it for Link and only registered the number on the key. Link took the key and left. He will come to check the specific situation tomorrow. Also, how to open the safe is a problem. Destroying it is definitely not an option, so the only way to unlock it is to use wire. These safes are not connected to the alarm system, and there is no monitoring system inside. After all, the things stored by the customers are kept confidential. Therefore, Link can use wire to open locks, but he has to be fast, and speed is what he has the most. As for what to store, Link has his own ideas, cash, weapons, and documents. As an agent, it is necessary to have some backup safe spots. As an agent of SHIELD, his credentials can change, and of course he can also get ordinary credentials from different institutions. After leaving the bank, he drove directly to the New York branch of SHIELD. She got an ordinary FBI ID and then returned home. Jessica was not there, so she went to find Tracy. The next day, Link carried a suitcase containing $19, a Glock, 4 spare magazines, and an FBI ID. When he came to the bank again, the manager took him to the safe, then closed the door and left him inside by himself. Link observed again and confirmed that there was no surveillance equipment. Then a series of after-images appeared here. Link used his super speed to open all the safes he had observed yesterday, checked that they were not what he was looking for, and immediately locked them again. In just 1 minute, he found the target, took out the things inside and started taking pictures. These were indeed the various evidences of money laundering that Langley had. Not just from 1 or 2 companies, but they were all paper documents. Link still took pictures at super speed. 5 minutes later, his time was up. Normally, he was not allowed to stay here for too long. Link came out carrying an empty box, said goodbye to the manager, walked out of the bank and drove home. He used a digital camera. After returning home, he took out the memory card and checked it on his laptop. Most of the contents were records of fund circulation. We found United Construction Company, which had some major problems with its accounts. Link extracted the United Construction Company portion and sent it to Carlson via email. Soon, Carlson called and said happily, "Lin, you are very efficient. You got such detailed information so quickly. Wilson Fisk himself is not easy to investigate, but United Construction Company is easy to investigate." Link said, however, the specific purpose of the forces supporting Fisk is not yet clear. If they are trying to make money or launder money, then there is no need for such a strong support. "Yes, I think so too. You still have to continue your investigation," Carlson said. "By the way, I have some evidence that Langley Osley laundered money for other criminal groups. Do you want me to send it to you?" Link asked. "Okay, send them all over." Carlson thought for a moment, then said, "With these, SHIELD will have more funding. Aren't we a global organization?" Link asked in a surprised tone, "Why are we still short of funds?" "It's because of the global organization that there is a lack of funds. You know, the approval of funds is not a matter for one company." Carlson actually didn't know much about the funding issue. Link laughed in his heart. Nick Fury secretly mobilized funds to build safe houses and bases around the world, so the funds were naturally insufficient. "Okay, I'll send it to you right away, but do I think I've done a good deed now?" Link asked. "Of course. And your contribution is not small, but you were promoted to level 6 as an exception, so there is no reward this time," Carlson reminded. "Okay, I'll keep trying." Link knew that someone like Hawkeye was a level 6 agent, and he was someone Nick Fury trusted more, and Natasha Romanoff was also level 6 because of her intelligence ability. Black Widow was originally a target for elimination by SHIELD, but when Hawkeye was executing the plan, he did not choose to eliminate her but recruited her instead. It is relatively difficult for her to gain Nick Fury's trust, and Link was not trained by SHIELD itself, and is probably still in the probation period. The purpose of his mission this time was more of an investigation. After all, on the surface, Wilson Fisk was just a gang leader and not worth S.H.I.E.L.D.'s action. Link sent all the remaining files and then deleted them from the computer. He only saved the photos, but he was not going to keep this memory at home. He planned to put it in a safe deposit box in the bank. He was indeed lucky that the safe was used again, and Link was very happy. This was an interesting job that brought a bit of fun to his life. The next day, Link asked Jessica to dress up and then drove to the gallery again. Vanessa's last dinner with Fisk did not go well. She was a little confused at this moment, but she still smiled and greeted him, "Mr. Lin, welcome again. You can call me Lin. This is my girlfriend Jessica Jones. I was in a hurry last time and didn't have time to introduce her to you." Link shook hands with the other party and then introduced Jessica. After Vanessa and Jessica greeted each other, she asked, "Are you here to continue choosing this time?" "Yes, but I'm not in a hurry. The decorations in the house will be used for a long time, so I need to take it seriously. It is very important to us, and we have plenty of time," Link said. "Okay, then shall we start from where we left last time?" Vanessa guided them to continue the tour. She didn't say much, but accompanied them and paid attention to the other guests. Link knows the value of the paintings here and has an idea in his mind that the paintings here were painted by the same painter, and Link already knows this information. This man is very talented and has already gained some fame. The prices of his paintings are generally below $100,000, but he is still young. It is already quite good to have achieved such results in his 30s. His future works have great potential for appreciation, and some of the exhibits here are exquisite. Link stopped in front of one of them and looked at it carefully. He felt it was quite good and had a great sense of space. It would be a good choice to put it in the living room. Vanessa, I want this one. Link turned to Vanessa and said. Lin, you really surprise me. Vanessa was indeed surprised. Link's vision was indeed sharp. Chapter 24 Contact Again. Link smiled politely and said, I just respect my own feelings. This painting has a strong sense of space. I think it suits my living room. What I like most is the glass ceiling above the living room. The sense of space is very open. They match perfectly. Indeed, this is one of the artist's most proud works. It has great potential for appreciation in the future, and now it only costs $80,000. Vanessa introduced the price. Lin, do you want to continue or buy it first? Of course, continue. One painting alone is not enough for the living room. I've selected 2 today, both of which are intended for the living room. I hope to find satisfactory works. Link would not buy all at once, and he would not just hang one person's paintings. Intelligence gathering is a meticulous job. Link continued, of course, I can't buy all the paintings. Do you have any other friends? Of course, but what kind of art do you want to buy? Vanessa asked. Link turned to look at Jessica and asked, Honey, do you like anything? I don't understand all this. You make the decision. I think the painting you bought last time goes well with the restaurant, but we haven't cooked yet. Jessica is very smart. If Link hadn't appeared, she would have experienced a huge change and would have become a private detective in the future. She has strong abilities in investigation, analysis, and intelligence gathering. Link said, What do you think of the sculpture? The main color of the house is white, and the blank space left by the designer is for us to add our own colors. I first used photos, and then oil paintings, especially this kind of colorful abstract paintings. Then I think a sculpture would be a suitable ornament. Well, that's a good choice. Jessica thought about it and it seemed to be true. Vanessa, what do you think? Link asked Vanessa again. Vanessa thought for a moment and said, It is indeed possible, but most Western sculptures are monotonous in color. Lin is of Chinese descent. Is he interested in Eastern art? Of course I'm interested, especially in porcelain. This is a good idea. Link looked happy. But I don't understand this aspect. Porcelain is about color on the one hand, and age on the other. I don't understand antiques. You must introduce me to a businessman who is as honest and reliable as you. No problem, I promise. Vanessa agreed with a smile. Link continued his visit and bought another work for the living room. It looked like a starry sky, but this one was not too abstract, or the starry sky was too different and could be seen at a glance. The total cost was $140,000, and the goods were delivered at 10 a.m. the next day. The delivery person was responsible for the installation, which was very worry-free. Link and Vanessa agreed on a time to go to another place to see Oriental porcelain, and then left. At the SHIELD headquarters, Carlson reported Link's achievements to Nick Fury, who was very satisfied. Very good, it seems that his intelligence gathering ability is good, and the intelligence this time is of great value. Carlson, I will now give this task to you, but you must keep it confidential. Nick Fury was very tempted by the wealth recorded here, as this was money that did not come from the SHIELD account. Deal with these guys secretly. Don't touch the United Construction Company for now. Transfer the funds into the secret account. Yes, sir. Carlson agreed without asking. Carlson turned and left. Nick Fury looked at Link's profile and felt that he was good, both in terms of combat ability and intelligence gathering. However, he also had a question, why was he so good? He only knew psychology and had been trained in the police academy. Was he a genius? Of course, Nick Fury didn't doubt anything too much, because they recruited the other party on their own initiative, instead of others joining voluntarily. Moreover, it seems that the other party now likes this exciting industry. After all, his wealth is increasing too fast. He has no shortage of money or means to make money. Looking back on his past experiences, especially after becoming a policeman, I can't see any problems. Nick Fury pays such close attention for the sake of his future Avengers. There are not many people with extraordinary abilities now, and not many people can join. Even if there is one in the future, he will need some people who obey his orders. The more people they are among the Avengers, the better. Although Hawkeye and Black Widow are powerful, they are just ordinary people, so it is necessary to add a similar link. Even if the Avengers cannot be formed, it would be nice to have Coulson lead a team of highly capable agents. Link's abilities are very strong now, especially now that he has a large sum of money, he can build a few more safe spots. Link didn't know all this. After receiving the painting, he asked the workers to hang it up, and then he sat in the living room with Jessica to admire it. "That's great, dear. You have some ideas." Jessica also felt good. "Tracy introduced me to a charity foundation. I can go and learn from it." "That's a great idea." Link agreed, "But we should buy a car and find you a driver who can also serve as a part-time bodyguard." "Not necessary." Jessica didn't want Link to spend too much money. Link insisted, "This is necessary. After all, if you run a foundation in the future, do you have to take the subway every day?" "Okay." Jessica accepted it and snuggled in Link's arms. She felt very happy. At the same time, she was also a little scared, afraid of losing this happiness, so she made a decision, which was to train herself so that she could master the power. This was a question she had never thought about before. She had never liked this power, so she had never trained for it, but now it was very necessary. A few days later, Link made an appointment with Vanessa to go see Oriental porcelain. Jessica was very busy these days. On the one hand, she went to a charity foundation to learn management, and on the other hand, she hired a coach. The best way to control strength is actually to fight. Jessica also realized this. Will Link's wealth increase? Because Link had arranged bodyguards for him, she originally thought that she didn't need them, but now it seems that they are necessary because she doesn't want to expose her strength. Tracy suggested that she learn how to fight, and even use guns, to control her own strength, and to protect herself with weapons, so as to avoid being discovered of her superpowers to the greatest extent possible. Jessica begins training in secret, and Link is still unaware of it. Chapter 25 Fisk's Invitation. The prices of Oriental antiques have begun to increase in recent years, but they have not yet reached sky-high prices. It is just right for Link to purchase them at this time. He felt that he was lucky about this. After all, he had not considered this issue before, and his current home did not have enough space to store it. Now you can just buy some ornaments as decoration. After all, this is the Marvel Universe, and an accident might destroy it at any time. Link didn't have any interest in this area, but after Vanessa's introduction, he found out that the other party had a good reputation and could provide a carbon-14 test report. Coulson had also given relevant information before, so Link could buy it with confidence. He bought quite a lot this time, but the overall price was not as much as the cost of the oil paintings. Lin Ke was lucky to have found a bargain. This time he bought mainly porcelain from the Yuan and Ming dynasties. Some of them will be used as decorations in his home, and the rest will be collected first. Vanessa could see that Link liked these porcelains very much, and she had made a good business introduction this time. "Thank you very much," Link said to Vanessa after purchasing it. "If it weren't for you, an expert, I wouldn't be able to buy such a good thing." "You're so polite." "I'm counting on you to continue buying my paintings," said Vanessa. "Of course, there are still a few rooms that have not been decorated. However, I don't plan to continue purchasing this painter's works. Remember to notify me of your next exhibition." Link said, "In addition, I plan to set up a charity fund to specifically provide funding for legal matters. You know, I used to be a policeman. Now that I have money, I want to do something. And it's also about finding something for Jessica to do." Vanessa said enviously, "You are so nice to her." "You and Mr. Fisk?" Link only mentioned it briefly. Vanessa shook her head and said, "I don't know either." Link didn't ask any more questions, as this topic was not too far off the topic, but he immediately made an invitation. "How about I treat you to lunch to show my gratitude?" "Okay." Vanessa agreed. Link treated the other person to lunch, then sent him back to the gallery before saying goodbye and leaving. However, his actions were known to Wilson Fisk, and his right-hand man and friend James Wesley reported it to him. "Were there any intimate behaviors between them?" Fisk asked. "No, it was just a polite thank you," said James Wesley. "Well, help me organize some card games and invite Lin to join." Fisk actually organized a card game. "Okay, but who should we invite?" asked James Wesley. "Mrs. Gao and Langley." Fisk thought for a moment and then said. Link received the call and readily agreed. It seems that Fisk cares a lot about Vanessa's affairs and has been paying attention to it. Link had not expected to organize a card game so quickly, but it was part of his plan. He could have not invited Vanessa to dinner, but in order to attract Fisk's attention, he invited her under the pretext of thanking her. Vanessa usually doesn't eat with guests, but Link is not an ordinary guest. On the one hand, he knows Fisk, and on the other hand, he wants to deepen his relationship with Vanessa, and he has a girlfriend. He has no desire for Vanessa. On the day of the game, Link packed up and was sent out of the house by Jessica. He drove to the place where Fisk had prepared. However, he was searched before entering, and Link handed over his gun before he was allowed in. Mr. Fisk. Link took the initiative to extend his hand, shook hands with the other party and said, "I didn't expect you to invite me. I do have something to ask you, so I organized this card game. Let me introduce it." Mrs. Gao and Langley were both here. They came here early. The two were very surprised that Fisk organized a card game. Langley recognized Link as soon as he came in, so he said, "Mr. Lin, long time no see. Do you know each other?" Fisk asked curiously. "Yes." Link said. "My financial affairs have been entrusted to Mr. Osley's accounting firm. He recently helped me buy a large number of Stark Industries stocks. The tax season is coming soon, and I have to use the funds. Otherwise, the taxes I have to pay will be enough to keep me awake at night." Langley smiled and said, "Yes, but time is too short. Now we can only temporarily buy more stable stocks to preserve their value." "That's really a coincidence." Fisk suddenly realized, and then said, "This is Mrs. Gao. She has a lot of businesses in New York." "Hello ma'am." Link shook hands with the other party. Mrs. Gao said in Chinese, "Hello, Mr. Linear. It seems that we will have a lot in common. I just bought some antique porcelain recently. I wonder if Mrs. Gao is interested in this." Link also spoke Chinese. James Wesley helped translate in Fisk's ear. This man has a strong learning ability and is proficient in multiple functional languages. He is Fisk's right-hand man. "Is Lin Xinchen a new immigrant?" asked Mrs. Gao. "No, our family has been here for 4 generations, but we all speak Chinese at home. Unfortunately, my parents had a car accident, and now there is no one at home to speak to me." Link looked regretful. Then the card game began, with one bet being $1,000, which was much smaller than what Tony Stark and the others were playing. Link still looked like he was observing, but Fisk was a little more talkative. "Lin, how is Vanessa now?" "Wilson, you shouldn't ask me this." Link smoked a cigar. "I met her a few days ago, but I don't know much about what happened between you two. I only mentioned it a few times. It seems that Vanessa is hesitant. You should be bolder." Mrs. Gao and Langley looked at each other. They did not agree with Fisk being distracted now, but it was not a good idea to bring it up in this situation. Fisk naturally had his own purpose in inviting the two. He wanted to express his attitude, but Link was not aware of this. "Once you decide, you must do it. If you hesitate too much, you will lose." Link encouraged Fisk, saying that he was a decisive person even if he didn't encourage him, and Link used this to bring the two closer together. "You're right. There were some unpleasant things during the previous dinner. It was my fault." Fisk said calmly, "I will invite her again." "That's right, I believe Vanessa will come." Link continued to encourage. Chapter 26 Madame Gao. The game didn't last long as it was organized by force, but Link still left with a check for 1 million. He retrieved his pistol at the door, checked to make sure it was okay, then got into the car and left. However, he did not go too far. After driving for a distance, he found a restaurant on the side of the road, parked his car at the door, then got out and walked in. After ordering an apple pie and a glass of milk, Link listened quietly. "Fisk, you shouldn't be distracted at this time." Mrs. Gao was obviously dissatisfied with Fisk's behavior. "Our business is at a critical moment. I don't think my affairs will affect our business." Fisk obviously disagreed with this statement, "and this is my personal matter, not within the scope of our cooperation." Langley said, "That's the best, but for her, you crushed Anatoly's head with the door. Is this what you mean by no impact?" Link listened. He knew who Anatoly was, one of the leaders of the Russian gang, the other one was his brother Vladimir. When the brothers went to war with the Irish before, they were completely at a disadvantage. It was not until Fisk's forces intervened that the Irish gang was overwhelmed and can only survive now. Vladimir believes that this was done by the masked man, and they have been failing. Sooner or later they will be eliminated from our team. Fisk said, I will replace them and complete the last link. Mrs. Gao was obviously dissatisfied and said, okay, let's leave it like this for now. I hope you can keep your word, but who is that Lin? Why does he know both Vanessa and Langley? Could he be an intelligence officer or from some other gang? Langley shook his head and said, I just bought him stocks worth $60 million. He can't be an intelligence officer. Which intelligence agency would invest so much money? Link smiled slightly when he heard this, then picked up the spoon, scooped a large piece of apple pie and put it into his mouth. He played cards with Tony Stark again a few days ago and won 30 million in just a few hours. How could such a person be an agent? Mrs. Gao nodded slightly. What Langley said was right. No intelligence agency would spend so much money to send an undercover agent in. Fisk also said, I met him in Las Vegas when I was discussing cooperation with Mrs. Alexandra, so there is no problem with him and there is no need to worry. Besides, I'll take care of things. The three of them then dispersed. Link finished his apple pie, drank the milk, then drove and quietly followed Mrs. Gao. Mrs. Gao, one of the 5 fingers of the hand, is Link's focus. First, he has to determine the location of her drug factory in Hell's Kitchen, then try to record it and discover the secrets of the hand. Then the mission is completed. He doesn't need to follow closely behind, he can just track beyond visual range so that no one can discover him. We found Mrs. Gao's factory very easily. She cared a lot about this place and would still come here even at night, as if she lived nearby. The old lady was leaning on a cane and walking with difficulty, but Link did not dare to underestimate her. This was also an old monster who had lived for hundreds of years. Link parked the car far away, then walked closer and observed carefully with X-ray vision. This was a warehouse with high ceilings. Link jumped directly onto the roof, then hung upside down on the edge and took pictures of the scene inside with a micro camera. At the same time, he listened to Mrs. Gao's movements. However, Mrs. Gao obviously had no intention of contacting Alexandra. She came back in the evening to ship the goods tomorrow, not simply to show her concern or not. Link jumped down directly and landed silently. Then he left quietly, monitored remotely for a while, and then started the car and left. When he got home, Jessica had already gone to bed. Link went into the cloakroom, took off his clothes, went to the bathroom to wash up, then slowly went to bed and fell asleep. The next morning, Jessica woke up and saw Link lying beside her. She felt relieved and got up and went to the kitchen. She bought some kitchen appliances, took out the bread slices and put them in the toaster, and then took out vegetables, ham, peanut butter, etc. from the refrigerator. When Link got up, there were already sandwiches and hot milk. Jessica looked at him with a sweet smile, and Link began to eat with big mouthfuls. This tastes pretty good. After all, it's the flavor of the sauce that you're actually eating. Link gave a thumbs up to indicate that it tastes good as a sign of encouragement. Then Link took out a check and said, I won it yesterday, but there were some problems with the game yesterday. It wasn't my problem, but there were some problems between Mr. Fisk and his partners. The atmosphere wasn't very good, so it was a little awkward at the end. This was funded personally by Mr. Fisker. We'll go to the bank to cash it out and then buy the car. No problem. Jessica asked. No problem. Mr. Fisk is just concerned about Vanessa, but I don't know much about this. Link said, I am just participating in the game. Their problems have nothing to do with us. Okay, I'll go wash up. Jessica turned around to wash up. Link finished his breakfast, washed the dishes, and went to get dressed. The two went to the bank, and after cashing the check, Link opened an account for Jessica, deposited the money into her account, and prepared a checkbook. The two then went to the car dealership, and Link took a fancy to the 7th generation Rolls-Royce Phantom. The main reason he chose this car was because Jessica couldn't drive. When establishing a charitable fund in the future, as a manager, Jessica must pay attention to identity and status. This is a car suitable for sitting in the back. Jessica readily agreed, and Link placed the order directly. After paying the full amount, all he had to do was wait. There was no rush anyway, but he could look for a driver in advance. It is not easy to hire a driver. It's not that no one wants to apply for this job, but it's not easy to find one that meets your requirements. Of course, the most critical issue is trust. Link placed a job advertisement in the newspaper. The advertisement did not mention the salary, but the requirements were very strict. The applicant had to not smoke or drink, have vehicle driving and maintenance experience, have certain combat capabilities, and be able to protect the employer's safety, etc. There are too many requirements, but there is no mention of salary. People with real abilities should be able to come out, and the salary will not be low, but some short-sighted people are dismissive. Chapter 27 Complete the mission. Link only left his phone number, but not many people called, so Link would ask a few questions on the phone, especially about the other party's resume, and then search in the SHIELD database. SHIELD's database is very large, and it can even use the FBI and CIA databases, so these people cannot escape Link's review. Some of them are capable, but they have some bad pasts, so Link simply passed them up. Anyway, the car will take 2 months to arrive, so he is not in a hurry. The key now is how to keep an eye on Mrs. Gao. Now we don't have to follow Langley Owsley's line, and we don't have to follow Wilson Fisk's line either, as his affairs are not within the scope of SHIELD's management. Link called Carlson. Carlson, I found out who's behind Fisk. Oh. Carlson perked up. Who is it? Alexandra Reed appeared in my previous gambling game in Las Vegas. A few days ago, a Chinese woman named Gao appeared in the poker game organized by Fisk. Link said, they should be from the same organization. But Alexandra doesn't show up often. According to Fisk, she doesn't like to appear in public. This woman gives me an unfathomable feeling. As for that Madame Gao, she has a drug-making factory in Hell's Kitchen, and she has formed an industrial chain with Fisk and others. According to the evidence previously hidden by Langley, they used United Construction Company to launder money. But the acquisition of the property rights of Hell's Kitchen is also true. There are some strange things about this matter, and I haven't found out the details yet. I will focus on Mrs. Gao next. Fisk's problems are normal criminal problems. Carlson listened carefully. He didn't expect Link to have figured out the whole situation so quickly. Of course, there was still one last link that had not been uncovered, which was what the forces cooperating with Fisk were going to do. Most of the funds come from the island countries. Aren't there people from the island countries? Carlson asked. Link said, I haven't come into contact with her yet, but if I keep an eye on Madame Gao, I should be able to find her. After all, I'm alone. I understand. Keep working hard and try to find out their ultimate goal. Carlson encouraged. Link was right. He was just one person. But this is also the director's intention. Characters like Hawkeye and Black Widow act alone and have strong operational and intelligence gathering capabilities. Link directly became a level 6 agent because the director intended it to do so. Nick Fury is obsessed with seeing if he can become as good as Hawkeye or Black Widow and become a member of the Avengers in the future. He had proposed a plan before, but it was rejected by the World Security Council. But why would this guy give up? Just like he secretly established save points and bases and embezzled S.H.I.E.L.Ds funds, Nick Fury was essentially frightened by the Kree fleet. Carlson turned around and reported Link's discovery to Nick Fury. Nick Fury's remaining eye lit up. This was another large sum of money beckoning to him. Very good, Lin's intelligence gathering ability is good. Nick Fury was very satisfied. By the way, the previous operation was not exposed, right? No, we did it in secret, and the funds have been transferred into a secret account. Carlson said, Langley Owsley won't notice it. Well, don't let other people in the bureau find out. I'm going to use this money to build a secret base. Nick Fury trusted Carlson the most, but he didn't raise his level too much, so he remained at level 7. Maria Hill is a level 9 agent, Nick Fury's lieutenant, and the apparent successor to the director of SHIELD. Phil Carlson is the person Nick Fury is preparing to take over the secret base. He is a man who thinks 3 steps ahead before taking 1 step. Link was secretly monitoring Mrs. Gao at this time and found that Mrs. Gao was in her factory most of the time during the day. She used blind people to deliver the goods, and originally Russian taxis were responsible for picking up and dropping off the items, but now Vladimir is busy avenging his brother and looking for Daredevil everywhere. The letter from the islander came out. He came to see Mrs. Gao. Mrs. Gao was very concerned about Fisk's private affairs and believed that it would affect their so-called career. The appearance of the letter allowed Link to complete his discovery of the Icelanders, and he then reported it to Carlson. Carlson was very satisfied, but Link was alone and it was difficult for him to split himself. He was considering adding more manpower. But at this time Link discovered that Mrs. Gao had gone to see Alexandra. Link took a set of radio equipment and monitored it from a distance in the car. This is a long-range radio device that can be used for long-distance eavesdropping. Alexandra was feeding pigeons in a square, and Mrs. Gao sat next to her, a little in awe of it. The conversation between the two made Link happy because the mission was accomplished. The reason why the Hand and the Society fully support Fisk is simple: they are looking for dragon bones. The 5 fingers of the Hand and the Society are all old monsters who have lived for a long time, and the secret of their longevity is dragon bones. They can even use dragon bones to resurrect the dead. However, after hundreds of years of consumption, the dragon bones they had were running low, and based on the clues they found, there should be a complete dragon skeleton under Hell's Kitchen in Manhattan. Therefore, they need to acquire a large amount of property rights in Hell's Kitchen. They buy it not for development, but for digging downwards. The keel is buried very deep and is very large. They need to dig deep and do it in multiple locations until they find the keel. Alexandra's body was a little weak, so they were very anxious. Even if Fisk had a girlfriend, they thought it was a waste of time. Link organized the recording and sent it to Carlson. Carlson was stunned for a moment after listening to it, and then called Link. "Link, is this true?" Carlson asked. "It should be true, because there is no problem with the logic. The only question is whether it is really possible to live forever. However, it is best to keep this news secret, and even the Bureau should not spread it." Link reminded, "If too many people know about it, the world will go crazy. The temptation of immortality is too great, especially for politicians and capitalists, they will do anything to achieve it. If the keel is under Hell's Kitchen and is very large, Hell's Kitchen will collapse after it is dug out." Chapter 28 Purple Man. After Link finished speaking, he was thinking about something else in his mind. If Carlson was really killed by Loki in the future, could he be resurrected through dragon bones? He was not sure whether he could save Carlson. After all, he was reluctant to expose his strength. He just told Nick Fury about the dragon bone and let him think about it himself. However, he doesn't care whether Hell's Kitchen will collapse. Link is not a saint, and it is not his responsibility to care about the lives and deaths of so many people. After listening to this, Carlson immediately understood the seriousness of the matter. "Very good, don't mention this to anyone. Be sure to keep the original recording and don't make any copies." "Understood. I'll wait for your news." Link hung up the phone. He didn't have much to do at this moment. Then look for the Purple Man. At night, Link came to the rooftop and lay on the lounge chair with Jessica holding a glass of wine. Link smoked a cigar, quietly enjoying the night view, and he turned on his super hearing. Make every effort to collect information. It is not difficult to collect information about Purple Man. After this guy has the ability, he eats, drinks and has fun everywhere. In addition, he will also look for extremely outstanding women and then control them. Therefore, as long as you know a guy who likes to give orders at will. Link hears a lot of things at this time, which requires his super brain to analyze. The Purple Man always goes in and out of luxury hotels, restaurants, apartments and other places, and leaves after staying there for a day or a few days. He knows his own shortcomings, and when others are not paying attention, he is invincible. But, for a sniper, one bullet can kill him. A lot of things happen in New York every day, and there are many accidents, so the Purple Man has never been noticed by anyone, and Link himself is not sure whether he will be controlled by him. Jessica watched as Link closed his eyes and did not bother him, lying on the recliner and admiring the night sky. She had been studying and training lately. The progress is still good. She used to be too rejecting of her own abilities. It would have been better if she had trained earlier. Link continued to eliminate targets, and soon he locked onto the Purple Man's location. This guy was not far away from him, because there were many luxury apartments near Central Park. This guy knew how to enjoy himself, so it was not surprising that he was very close to him. Link immediately locked onto his target and then opened his eyes. But there is no rush. The Purple Man will stay in this house tonight. Now Link needs to consider how to kill him. Link was not in a hurry to kill the Purple Man. After all, it was difficult to explain why he went out at night. He still lay leisurely on the chair and continued to monitor to confirm the voice of the Purple Man. The next day, Link sent Jessica to the charity Jinhui to continue her studies, and Link once again confirmed the location of the Purple Man. This guy really did not move, and he would probably stay here for a few days. So Link went to Hell's Kitchen. He needed to find a sniper rifle. While wandering in Hell's Kitchen, he found a small law firm. Murdoch and Nelson Law Firm. Link originally proposed that Jessica set up a charitable foundation in order to sponsor this law firm. Matthew Murdoch is a typical saintly person, but of course he is an extremely contradictory person. He has always advocated the use of legal trials, but he has also transformed himself into a vigilante and become the night demon of Hell's Kitchen. He himself was also breaking the law, but Link was not going to take care of it. He was just looking for something for Jessica to do, and it was also for tax exemption. A charitable fund was established, and then the fund was responsible for investment, with 5% of its annual profits going to charity. Legal aid was also a kind of charity. The foundation can be exempted from most taxes, and future heirs do not need to pay inheritance tax, but can hold positions here. The capitalists are very good at this. Many people who don't know the truth thought it was really charity and donated all their fortune for this. But the funds for the charity foundation still come from other people. Link has no real industry but only funds. It is not suitable for him to set up a company in a foreign tax-free country, and he himself does not want to go through so much trouble. Then a charitable fund is the best solution. As for Matthew Murdoch, the daredevil, Link doesn't need to worry about him. The future defenders of Hell's Kitchen are probably gone, as the abilities of their members are actually average. For example, Matthew Murdoch is basically an ordinary person, but he has super hearing and super sense of smell. And his fighting ability is trained. His strength is not as good as Hawkeye and Black Widow. Especially since this guy has a principle of not killing, he is not within the scope of recruitment by S.H.I.E.L.D. Jessica Jones' trajectory is similar. Although she has super strength and jumping ability, she has no fighting skills. She relies entirely on her brute force to achieve her goals and cannot be compared with Captain America. As for Iron Fist, he controls more than 50% of the shares of a large group and is a super rich man. He has good fighting experience, but his strongest weapon is just that one punch, and then he's done for. His fighting ability is average and cannot be compared with Thor and Hulk. Luke Cage is invulnerable to swords and guns, but this is not of much use. His upper limit is not high, he is just a meat shield. And these guys don't have very good personalities. Link parked the car at the door and walked in. There were only 3 rooms here. The first room was the reception room. Karen Page had been working here since she was rescued. There is an office on the left and right, belonging to Matthew Murdoch and Foggy Nelson respectively. They were college classmates. Matthew Murdoch's father left him a sum of money, and for this money, his father gave his life. Matthew Murdoch used the money to set up this law firm to help the weak. Most of the cases this guy accepted were free of charge. "Hello sir, do you have a case to commission?" Karen Page stood up immediately when she saw Link's clothes. This man should not be short of money, but it was too late to think about why he came here. He must be short of money now. Link smiled and said, "No, I heard that this law firm often provides free legal aid, so I'm very interested. I came here today to check. Are Mr. Murdoch and Mr. Nelson here?" "They are in court now. You can sit down for a while. They will be back in a little while." Karen Page realized that this person might be here to sponsor. "I'll pour you some water." They didn't even have a coffee machine here, so they could only pour Link a glass of water. Link didn't sit down, but looked around the place. It seems that the conditions are indeed not very good, and many things are old. Such a place is in great need of investment. Chapter 29 Sniper Preparation. Karen Page felt a little embarrassed. After all, the law firm was short of money, very short of money, and she hadn't received her salary for 3 months. Matthew's funds are limited, and it is difficult for him to maintain basic operations. The law firm is in a very difficult situation now. "What's your name, sir?" Karen Page asked. "This is my business card." Link took out a card, but there was only a name and phone number on it, and no other name, which made Peggy very confused. At this time, Matthew and Fergie came back. They were still discussing the case. After pushing the door open, they saw Link. The two were stunned for a moment, and then Karen Page immediately introduced the two parties. After they got to know each other, he was invited to Matthew's office. The 3 of them came in, and after Link sat down, he said, "I recently intended to set up a charity fund. Since I used to be a police officer, I want to provide legal aid." "Police?" Matthew was stunned. "Yes, it's at the West Central City Police Station. You should have heard of me. I killed more than 20 people in one night. Link spread his hands. Fergie Nelson immediately said in a daze, I see, right, Kaylin. Yes, let's meet formally. You can call me Linear. Link said, I am now a professional gambler. Most of my funds came from just 2 poker games. I won a total of $55 million. Oh my god, exclaimed Fergie Nelson. It's incredible. There is such a big game. One of them is Mr. Tony Stark, so you know. Link smiled, but these are not the main points. Now I hold Stark Industries shares worth $60 million. There will be dividends every year. Of course, this is also for the purpose of legally avoiding taxes. In addition, the charity foundation is managed by my girlfriend. The main purpose is to find her something to do. It's a win-win situation. I heard about your law firm at the beginning, so I came here today to discuss the issue of funding. Hearing this, Matthew Murdoch asked, will Mr. Lin intervene in our case? No, but since you are the sponsor, we will supervise and verify the case. Link thought of Jessica's hobby, if you accept our funding, there will be no such thing as confidentiality of the case. Do you agree with this? Of course. Fergie said immediately, this is inevitable. Any charitable donation has this right. What do you think, Matthew? Yes, I agree with that. Matthew Murdoch nodded. But now there are 2 choices. Link said, the first is that you only accept our funding, and the funds are only for supporting cases. Second, if you accept our acquisition, we will be responsible for all your expenses, including your salary. Of course, as lawyers, you too can own some of the shares. After all, it's hard to make money from this kind of charitable legal aid, and the salary is at the middle class level. However, if we receive a big case and can make money, then we can calculate it separately. This is a problem. Matthew Murdoch hesitated here, while Fergie Nelson was more excited. If the acquisition was successful, they would not have to worry about money. Funding is different. It is just the money spent on the case. They don't make any money. Matthew. Fergie immediately reminded Matthew in a low voice. Link stood up and said, I know you all need to consider, so I'll take my leave first. You have my business card, you can call me anytime, and you can consider the 2 options yourself. Okay, Mr. Lin, we will reply as soon as possible. Fergie Nelson said immediately, I'll take you there. After Link got in the car, he immediately heard the conversation inside, but he did not continue listening. Instead, he continued looking for the sniper rifle. This was not difficult. He discovered that someone was carrying a batch of weapons, so he followed them curiously and monitored them from a distance. There was only one person, and even though everything was covered, it couldn't block Link's view. Moreover, this man was covered with scars, and Link instantly thought of the Punisher. All the weapons he carried were military grade. Civilian weapons are prohibited from having fully automatic weapons, but most of his are fully automatic, even heavy weapons. Link smiled and waited silently in the distance until the transportation was completed. The Punisher left. He placed the things on the rooftop, preparing for action at night. The target should be nearby, right? There was no need to know the Punisher's actions, he just needed a sniper rifle. After the Punisher left, Link went directly to the rooftop, where some weapon boxes were covered with canvas. Link only opened the one containing the sniper rifle and looked inside. It was a Beret AS-50 sniper rifle that used 12.7x 99mm caliber bullets. After seeing this kind of bullet, Link laughed. The purple man was dead. He simply closed the box and wrapped it with canvas. He checked to see if there was any surveillance around and then just picked it up and left. Placing it on the back seat of the car, Link started it and left, heading towards where the purple man was. There was a wealthy area nearby. Link walked around carefully for a few times, observed the situation, and finally chose an office building. Then he waited for the night to come. He called Jessica and told her to go back late at night. Link then went to buy some clothes, a hooded sweatshirt, sunglasses, gloves, masks, etc. Everything he bought was cheap, street stall merchandise that would not leave any records. Moreover, they were purchased separately, and finally when the vehicle was replaced, the car was parked far away, where there was no surveillance. There is too little surveillance in America, Link is very satisfied with it. They simply won't invest too much money in public facilities. That's how capitalists are. At night, when there were fewer people, Link took the things and followed the predetermined route to the narrow space between the two buildings, then slowly floated up with the things in his hand. He was not used to flying. After all, he had never practiced and did not have Superman's combat suit and cape, so he could only float up. This was his first time using his flying ability outside, but Link was observing carefully so he wouldn't capture anything, and there were no surveillance cameras either. Arriving at the rooftop of the office building he had selected in advance, Link opened the box, took out the sniper rifle, assembled it, and then debugged it. Without lying down, he directly aimed the gun at the purple man. This guy is now sitting on the sofa in the living room. The luxurious apartment he chose has the most floor-to-ceiling windows with a very wide view, which also becomes the way of his death. This gave Link a great sniper field of view. In order to kill this guy, Link did not shoot immediately, but waited. Chapter 30 Meeting Nick Fury. Ziren was watching TV at this time, holding a glass of wine in his hand and a cigar in his mouth, while the host and hostess of the house were cooking. There were no children in the family. Otherwise, Link would have taken action yesterday. Although he is not a saint, he still has some sympathy for children. Dinner was ready, the purple man stood up and walked towards the dining table beside him, and Link was waiting for this opportunity and pulled the trigger directly. Even such a large-caliber anti-material sniper rifle did not make his body move at all. Bang! The glass in the purple man's head shattered almost at the same time, but the host and hostess of the house were controlled and did not scream out. They still stood by the dining table, waiting for the next instruction. The purple man's body fell to the ground, but Link did not stop. Bang bang! Continuous sniping was aimed at the purple man's body. After all the bullets were used up, Link threw the sniper rifle to the ground, then jumped down directly, turned around and left after landing. The remaining problems are no longer his. And the abnormality of the host and hostess should attract some attention. Link changed his clothes, threw them into the trash can, poured some gasoline in it, and ignited it before leaving. I got back in the car, drove away, and made a long circle before returning home. The anti-material gunfire was very loud, but Link was standing on the rooftop, so the huge sound was not noticed by others. It was just that the glass of the luxury apartment was shattered, and some glass fell below, and someone called the police. When the police broke down the door, they were stunned by what they saw, and some of the young officers turned around and vomited. The strangest thing was that a man and a woman just stood there and ignored the arrival of the police. Link returned home and took a shower to get rid of the smell of gunpowder on his body, but Jessica still smelled it. However, she did not ask, but made 2 sandwiches for Link and heated up the milk. After eating, Link told Jessica about the law firm. Jessica became interested and asked a lot of questions. Link answered them one by one, and then the two of them went to bed early. The next day, Link sent Jessica to school, and suddenly found that there was nothing to do, but Carlson called at the right time. Link, you did a good job this time. You don't need to worry about the rest. Carlson said, the director wants to see you. Go to the headquarters tomorrow. There will be a helicopter waiting for you at the branch. Okay, I might as well go to the headquarters to take a look, Link said. Link spent the day leisurely. As for who would take over, he didn't care. After all, he was alone, which made him feel not like an agent but more like a part-time intelligence dealer. In the evening, he went out for dinner with Jessica and then watched a movie. In the evening, he tried the quality of the underwear Jessica bought. The next day, he sent Jessica to study, and he went to the branch. He arrived at the headquarters by helicopter, and after getting off the plane, someone took him to Nick Fury's office. Nick Fury was easy to recognize. Agent Lin, welcome to headquarters. Nick Fury was very polite and stood up to shake hands with him. Mr. Director, I have been curious about the headquarters for a long time. Link said with a smile. I understand this. After all, you don't know enough about us. But you did a good job on this mission. You found such important information by yourself. Nick Fury has a resurrection plan, but it is to extract substances from the bodies of the Kree, and the resurrection process is extremely cruel. The Dragon Bone incident made him see another possibility, so Nick Fury called back Hawkeye and Black Widow to cooperate with Coulson to complete the mission secretly. Link is not on this trusted list yet, but he must be appeased. However, your qualifications are not enough. Since you are carrying out missions alone, I will be promoted to a level 6 agent as an exception. You need to keep up the good work and continue to collect intelligence from the upper class in New York as a professional gambler, especially those so-called upper elites. Some of them may have 084. You never know what they will do. Yes, I understand, but the circle I'm in contact with is limited. Link said, generally, the purpose of the game is money, or the purpose is technology. We have done the same analysis as you did, but this is how our organization works. We cannot wait until something bad happens before we make any efforts. Many agents are working hard in areas they are good at. Nick Fury said, we must take precautions before they happen. I have a mission for you this time. Yes, Chief. Link was very cooperative. The military has been conducting experiments in the hope of replicating the super soldier serum that Captain America used, said Nick Fury. An accident occurred during a previous experiment, and the laboratory was severely damaged, but they completely blocked the news. However, we did get some information. They have been looking for someone. Here is his information. Nick Fury handed over a document. After Link opened it and took a look, he knew the details. Dr. Bruce Banner, a super genius with 7 doctorates. This man was once the person in charge of the experiment, but he disappeared after an experimental accident. The military has been looking for him. Nick Fury said, but there was no news. Finally, a team of them went to Brazil and caused quite a stir there. But because it was night and the infrastructure there was not good, we didn't get any valuable intelligence. However, our people have discovered the whereabouts of Dr. Bruce Banner. He has returned secretly to New York. I want you to approach him and find out the details. After all, the scene of that experimental accident was extremely destructive, but it was not caused by an explosion. I understand. I will take action as soon as I get back. Link is not afraid of Hulk, but he doesn't want to expose his abilities because of Hulk. The best way is to contact the other party in advance. Great, let's go visit the headquarters. Nick Fury was very satisfied. Link took the information and turned to leave. Someone was waiting for him outside, a very tall woman. Hello, I'm Maria Hill, the director's adjutant. The other party introduced me. I don't think I need to introduce myself. Hello, Agent Hill. Link shook hands with the other party, who took him on a tour and introduced some of the various departments, but the confidential parts were not involved in this tour. Link had lunch here at noon, then took a helicopter back to the New York branch in the afternoon and drove home in his own car. Chapter 31 Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner was cautious. He returned to New York with his things. He could not stay in any hotel that required identity information, and he did not have that much money at the moment. He thought of a place, which was the pizza shop he used to go to with his girlfriend. He was very familiar with the owner. Carrying a travel bag, he took a taxi to the location and then prepared to enter through the back door. However, a car stopped beside him, the driver's window was lowered, and the face of a young Chinese man appeared. He smiled and said to him, "Good evening, Dr. Bruce Banner." Bruce was very panicked at this time, he turned around and wanted to escape. But Link's words gave him pause. The military already knows you're back. Bruce turned to look at Link and asked, "Who are you? Get in the car. This is not the place to talk." "Don't worry, I won't irritate you because that's too dangerous." Link said, "I also know that many things are ineffective against you, so I just want to talk." After hesitating for a moment, Bruce knew that he didn't have much choice unless he released the Hulk, but that was the last thing he wanted to do. So, he got in the car. From the passenger seat, Link started the car, and it drove away slowly. Bruce Banner and his girlfriend in the pizza shop were perfectly separated from each other, and Link did it on purpose. This kind of love between young men and women is the most unacceptable. Let me introduce myself. My name is Link. You can call me Lin. I'm with the Strategic Homeland Defense, Attack and Logistics Support Agency. Link followed Phil Coulson and the others and said his full name directly. Bruce Banner was confused. What is this for? Homeland does not refer to America, but the entire Earth. We are a line of defense for the Earth. Link said, this is a global organization, managed by the World Security Council, and funded by countries around the world. It is a joint organization. How is that possible? Bruce Banner didn't believe it. If there is such an organization, why is there still war? You don't understand everything. What we are defending against is not the war on Earth, but the alien civilization. In view of your special situation, I said that the alien civilization that people have always been puzzled about does exist. Link said. Bruce Banner didn't expect to hear such an explosive thing today, but he still believes it. Link didn't explain too much, but drove directly to an open place, invited the other party to get out of the car, and then took out some food and drinks from the trunk. I believe you haven't eaten yet, we can talk while we eat. These were the pizzas purchased, 2 large pizzas in total, and 2 cups of Coke. Link asked, do you want me to taste it first? No need. Bruce Banner took a box directly, put it on the hood of the car, opened it and started eating. Link opened another box and ate pizza while saying, we roughly understand something. The military announced that it was an experimental accident, but the damage at the scene was not caused by an explosion. And then they hunted you down, and we guessed something. I guess the experiment was successful, but not that successful, right? Yes, I became a monster with great destructive power, and it is out of control. Bruce Banner said, do you want it now? As far as I know, we don't have any experimental projects on super soldier serum. Link said, to put it bluntly, the enemy we know about cannot be solved by one Captain America, or a group of Captain Americas. The number of alien objects we have sealed and studied is already a lot. Bruce looked at Link in surprise and asked, are you really okay with telling me this? Does it sound like a lie? Link laughed and said, I thought so at first. I was a policeman before, and then I made a lot of money in Las Vegas. Now I am faced with a choice. As a result, someone came to recruit me. I was very interested and curious about it, so I joined. As a result, I saw the truth that I had never known before. The Earth is like a supermarket. There have been so many aliens here. Maybe there are still aliens hiding here. Do you dare to believe it? Bruce swallowed the pizza in his mouth with difficulty and said, unbelievable. Yes, it's unbelievable. Link nodded and said, then, Bruce, it was a wrong decision for you to come back, and it was also a wrong choice for you to give your blood to others. Bruce was stunned, you all know. Of course, the internet is not safe. S.H.I.E.L.D. is not clear about this, but Link knows it. Anyway. He was carrying out the mission alone and had no worries about being discovered. Facing Bruce Banner, his psychology was most useful. And your Mr. Blue cloned your blood and conducted many experiments. Impossible, how could he? Bruce was stunned. He hadn't thought of that. He promised. A crazy biologist. You are also a researcher. How do you know he won't do this? Link said sarcastically, he can win a Nobel Prize for this. Why doesn't he do it? Bruce was silent for a moment, then said, no, he must destroy the blood. Don't worry, someone will do it. Link comforted her, then said, now let's talk about your problem. Me? Bruce was stunned. From what you said, I have come to a conclusion that the one in your body, what's his name? Link guided Bruce. Hulk, he named himself Hulk. Bruce said. Yes, Hulk. Link nodded slightly, although I don't understand your professional field, I know that the experiment will not put a person or something into your body, so his birth is your problem. Me? Bruce was stunned. How is that possible? Of course it's possible. I studied psychology in college. I believe you have heard of split personality, right? Link continued, I know all your experiences. We have investigated your past. Your childhood was not happy, which led to your cowardly personality. Did you ever imagine when you were a child that you would become strong and be able to protect yourself? Split personality is related to personal experience, and your experience is a typical example. It's just that you are very smart, have always excelled in your studies, and have 7 doctorates. Chapter 32 Persuasion. This kind of learning experience, with a college degree and your girlfriend, makes you temporarily forget your cowardice. But when a huge crisis or even a fatal danger occurs in the experiment, Link said. All the conditions came together, a huge change happened inside you, and the Hulk was born. After all, you were the one who did the experiment. You can't put anything into your own body. So according to science, it can only be another personality of yours. His behavior is related to your childhood. So think about it yourself. Are the characteristics displayed by Hulk related to some of your childhood moods? Bruce fell into memories. His father was also a military researcher, but his temper became very violent. Until his death, he was always very scared. Then I hid under the table alone, but in my heart. He couldn't imagine it, and said tremblingly, I am the Hulk. Can your other personality tell me what emotion it is? Link asked. Anger. Bruce put the pizza down and covered his face with his hands. It's all me. You should be happy, Bruce. Link advised, then the problem will be easy to solve. Don't regard him as a monster, but as your brother, or yourself. Face him, this is a psychological treatment method. Don't reject him, communicate with him. By the way, when he appeared, did you know what was happening in the outside world? I don't know. Bruce shook his head. I don't know. Every time he appears, I always fall into darkness. Here's the problem. If you don't like him, then he won't like you either. You need to communicate and you need to trust each other. Once everything is established, if you merge into one, then you will have strength and wisdom. Link said. Why would you wish that? Bruce suddenly looked up at Link. This was so strange. The Earth needs you, maybe in the near future. Link took a sip of Coke, then said, we can provide you with a safe house in an open area, and then you have to learn to face Hulk and have a conversation with him at ease. Someone is sending you supplies regularly. What do you think? Don't think he will disappear. You should know that the conditions for his creation are very harsh, just like the super soldier serum. The military has not succeeded in the past few decades. Why? All conditions are specific. Even Dr. Erkins chose Steve Rogers, who was the weakest at the time. And why? Bruce fell silent. Since that experiment, he has been avoiding, complaining, and even wanting to kill himself. As a result, everything was getting worse and worse. Now that the other party explained it all from a psychological perspective, Bruce somewhat agreed. It's very strange. He didn't even show any ID. Just with such a simple conversation, he trusted me? Link seemed relaxed, and Bruce felt strange. Didn't he understand how terrifying the Hulk was? Really? Bruce asked. Okay, we will set up a quarantine zone around the safe house. No one or any force can contact you until you complete your psychological treatment. Link said, as far as technology is concerned, you know it's difficult to succeed. The best we can do is put Hulk to sleep. But the military won't give up. They will capture people and take them for experiments. General Ross, as your girlfriend's father, you should know him better than us. That's an ambitious guy. Okay, but you have to clean up my blood. Bruce agreed. This was an opportunity, but he didn't know the specific effect. By the way, I hope you can help me. Don't worry, I will come over to conduct psychological evaluations on you regularly, but this matter actually depends on you. The problems between you two can only be solved by you two. Let him see the outside, and you have to see the outside too. Trust is the foundation. I hope so, Bruce said. Link took out his phone and called Nick Fury in front of him. Director, I have met with Dr. Bruce Banner and conducted a psychological diagnosis and analysis. Nick Fury was stunned. He didn't understand why Link met him directly, but it seemed that things were going well now. What exactly happened? Nick Fury asked. The military did develop a super soldier serum, but something unexpected happened during the experiment and the doctor himself mutated and became a powerful being, so powerful that the military couldn't do anything to him, Link said. And now he can't control this situation for the time being. My analysis is that he has a second personality. Now the main personality and the second personality lack communication. When the second personality appears, the main personality will fall into a deep sleep. This is related to the doctor's childhood. My idea is to find a place where few people go, such as the jungle area in Canada, and we will build a quarantine zone far away. Let Dr. Banner communicate with his second personality. If this step is accomplished, Dr. Banner will be able to control his own power. Nick Fury's eyes lit up, but he knew nothing about Banner's power. However, based on Link's description, he understood that the military was helpless. This is Banner's power, which far exceeds that of Captain America. The comparison is actually very intuitive. As the link of communication between Link and Nick Fury, his words are very important. Your idea is good, I can arrange it. Nick Fury said. Director, the fewer people who know about this, the better. However, we need to make some arrangements with the person who contacted Dr. Banner before. He copied a large amount of Banner's blood, which is very dangerous. Link said, someone drank a drop before, and it made an old man extremely powerful. This is too dangerous. I think you should go out in person and destroy all of this copied blood. Nick Fury's pupil shrank. It turned out that there was such a thing. He immediately said, "Give me the address and I will handle it myself. Also, I need you to send Dr. Banner over in person." I asked Carlson to prepare it. "I don't want any problems to occur along the way." "Understood. I'll escort you personally," Link said and hung up the phone. Then he sent a text message using his mobile phone. It contained Mr. Land's address and real name, which he remembered. After all, he had a super brain and his memory of his previous life was very clear. Chapter 33 Settlement. If Nick Fury had not given Link the task, Link would not have directed Bruce Banner in this way, but he was sent here. In order to avoid accidents, he must firmly grasp the initiative, otherwise if Hulk comes out, he must have real combat power. "Eat quickly, we'll leave as soon as we get news." Link began to eat the pizza in big mouthfuls. The same went for Bruce. Soon Carlson sent a message with the address. Link and Bruce finished their meal and got in the car. Link then drove straight to the address. "Hey, Carlson." This was an airstrip, a private place, with a private plane parked on the runway. "Lin, you've done an excellent job. The director has already led people to take action. I believe the blood will be destroyed soon." Carlson then turned to Bruce and extended his hand. "Hello, Doctor. I've read your information. You are a genius. I'm nothing now." Bruce was not in a good mood. "Don't worry, Lin is very good at psychology. He has never lost in any card game. He is good at analyzing the psychology of various people." Carlson is very confident in Link. "Let's get on the plane and leave the country under private names, which will help conceal your whereabouts. The cabin in the jungle is ready, and we are also going to arrange people to lurk nearby to prevent anyone from looking for you. You are the only one within a radius of 50 miles. Carlson said as he walked. "We have prepared a hunting rifle for you to protect you from bears. We have also prepared 3 months of food and water for you. However, there is no phone or internet. I hope you understand. If you need anything, you can tell me." "Book bar, give me some books," Bruce said. "Yes, there are many world-famous books there. Of course, if you don't like them, we can prepare more." Carlson said, "There are also enough clothes. We can take a look at them when we get there." The three of them boarded the plane, which then took off and flew to Canada. Before Link boarded the plane, he informed Jessica that he would be away for a few days and asked her not to worry, saying that he was going to play a card game, but not in New York. After getting off the plane, they took a car and drove all the way to the big forest. Link didn't know where this place was, but it was remote enough. After sitting in the car for several hours, we finally arrived at a wooden house. The house was neither big nor small, but it was obviously empty, but it had been tidied up. After the three entered, they found a fireplace. Carlson walked over, took some wood next to him, and then lit it in the fireplace. The climate in Canada is generally very cold. Link and Bruce took a look around. Many things here were new. Carlson said, "The people who arranged this place didn't know about the doctor's situation. They just thought it was a protection plan. Usually, when we deliver supplies, they will be placed 2 miles from here. We will leave a vehicle and enough fuel for you. But you have to do everything like chopping wood and stuff. Also, there is no infrastructure like electricity or running water. There is a sewerage facility, but it's a septic tank buried underground. The place to get water is in the hut next to it. There is a well there. If it freezes, remember to pour hot water on it." Link said, "Since we are still here, let's help. At least give Bruce some time to adapt." "Good suggestion," Carlson agreed. The three of them quickly started to act. They divided the work among themselves. Carlson and Bruce went to chop wood, while Link went to fetch water and fill the water tank in the cabin. Then the facilities in the house could be used. However, we should check the water tank more often to prevent small animals from entering and affecting the quality of the water. The three of them worked hard until noon, when they started cooking again. After eating, Link and Carlson said goodbye. Bruce stayed here. He was a little nervous at first, but he got used to it after a few days. There was indeed no one here. He would read a book by the fireplace at night and then go to sleep. He would get up in the morning and go out for exercise. He then tried to communicate with Hulk, who ignored him at first, but Bruce had nothing to do here and felt very safe, without having to worry about the military coming. My mentality was very stable at this time, so I continued to try. After half a month, I was able to communicate with Hulk. It was a wonderful feeling. It was only then that he realized that Hulk was very similar to himself when he was a child, except that he was more angry inside. Link did not go home directly, but went to Las Vegas, won a small amount of $1.5 million, and then returned home. After all, he told Jessica that he was going out of town to participate in a card game. If he didn't bring the money back, then Jessica would be worried. In the following period of time, Link actually had no mission, or rather, he continued to carry out his previous mission of gathering intelligence, wandering around in some card games, making friends with upper-class people in New York, and expanding his network of relationships. It's hard to say about this kind of thing. In terms of intelligence, it's like sitting back and waiting, and there has been no movement from Hell's Kitchen. Have Coulson and the others taken action yet? Why is Jinbing still so lively and in love? Why is he and Daredevil still fighting back and forth? The Punisher did not take any action for the time being. It was probably because he was scared and retreated when his sniper rifle was taken away by him. The New York police are conducting a thorough investigation into the Purple Man's gun case. They have definitely found the sniper rifle, but no other clues were found at the scene. So they can only search for the source of the sniper rifle. The Punisher probably knew it. Link paid attention to it for a moment, and then ignored it. It was not easy to find him, or even impossible. That day, Link received a call from Karen Page, inviting him to meet. In the morning, Link sent Jessica to continue studying, and then led the way to Murdoch and Nelson Law Firm. After entering the room, Matthew Murdoch, Foggy Nelson, and Karen Page were all there. "Mr. Lin, welcome again." Fergie was very enthusiastic, while Matthew's attitude was rather indifferent. "You're welcome. What do you think?" Link asked. "We have thought it through. I agree to the acquisition. I don't know the specific details." Fergie Nelson asked with a smile. "We can discuss this, but your law firm is really not worth much, but I can inject capital." Link said, "You two can get some shares, but it won't be much. Your income mainly comes from salary." "Of course." Virgie Nelson said immediately, "But we hope to stay in West Midtown. After all, the people who need help here are the most." Chapter 34 Acquisition. "That's for sure, but I will buy a property and then renovate it." Link said, "After all, it's impossible for there to be only two of you lawyers and a receptionist. The law firm will then be put under the name of a charity fund. We run our business as a normal law firm, but we receive a charitable fund every year to provide legal aid to the poor. The various procedures will take some time, so for now I will make the purchase in my personal name, and then include it in the charity fund after it is established." Matthew Murdoch asked, "Can it be stated in the contract?" "Of course, that's for sure." Link nodded, "You guys will be responsible for drafting a contract, and I'll give each of you 5% of the shares. The salary issue will be discussed after the contract is signed. I will pay $300,000 for the acquisition and inject $1 million into the company without diluting your shares. After the charity fund is established, the legal affairs of the foundation will be handed over to the law firm. Even if the law firm does not make money, I believe that you two will not lose any salary and commissions." Fergie Nelson was very happy. With a charitable foundation behind them, they had the capital to make a living and no longer had to worry about money. Drafting a contract also takes time, so Link took his leave temporarily and will bring his girlfriend over in a few days so that both parties can get to know each other. In order to set up the foundation, Link went to Langley again and asked his accounting firm to cooperate with his lawyer. For the time being, Link still used the previous lawyer. When I got home in the evening, I told Jessica about everything. Jessica was very excited. This was a career instead of staying at home all day and being a housewife. She is learning very quickly now. She is a very smart woman. She studied at the charity foundation introduced by Tracy and understood its operation, which is actually not complicated. Link doesn't have much money, and his annual income is also limited. Taking out 5% for charity actually doesn't really mean much in terms of funds. She didn't know at this time that Link had plans for Stark Industries stock in the future, and the scale of funds would definitely increase, but it did not seem to be large at the moment. It was just a small law firm. So there was no trouble and she was fully capable of running it now. She and Link had an enthusiastic conversation, especially about the review of funding cases, and the need to use limited funds on those who needed them most. Hello, I saw the recruitment news in the newspaper. Link has signed the acquisition contract and the first installment of the acquisition funds has been paid, $300,000. After all, the law firm has no fixed assets or entrustment contracts, and the office facilities here are worthless. With the subsequent investment of $1 million, Link also needs to look at the real estate in Hell's Kitchen and prepare to acquire a small apartment and then renovate it. The housing prices in the United States are very peculiar. They are calculated based on the community. Under the overall environment of Hell's Kitchen, the real estate here is extremely cheap. The property tax is also very low because the people here are all poor and the housing prices in the entire area cannot go up. The people here also do not agree with the increase in housing prices because an increase in housing prices means an increase in property taxes. The difficulty in Wilson Fisker's acquisition lies in this: the acquisition price is not enough for the people here to move to another place, and if they move to another place, the property tax may increase. This property tax has to be paid every year, and the annual difference ranges from several thousand US dollars to $10,000, which is a huge burden. If Link wants to acquire the restaurant, he will also encounter this problem, but the location he chose is on the edge of Hell's Kitchen. He must consider the issue of future employees. Foggy Nelson grew up here, and Matthew Murdoch wants to be a hero here, so the two of them dare to come. But what about everyone else? Therefore, the best location is at the edge of Hell's Kitchen, which is close to Hell's Kitchen and relatively safe. Otherwise, if employees work overtime at night and cannot find a taxi to go home, that would be a problem. It's not that there are no big buildings here, but the rent is relatively too expensive. It would be better to buy a small apartment and renovate it. You have to know that this was originally a gathering place for Irish workers, so the Irish gangs were the most powerful in the early days. The earliest document that can be traced back to the New York Times in 1881 was a reporter who came in under police escort to cover a homicide case. However, the name Hell's Kitchen was too derogatory, so the official name was finally determined to be the Clinton District, which is West Midtown. This place is close to Broadway, and many people who pursue art come to New York. Since they don't have a fixed income, many people also rent houses here because the real estate here is cheap enough. Wilson Fisk wants to rebuild this place, but the resistance he will face is understandable, as the people here do not have the ability to pursue a better living environment. Once this place is completely acquired and rebuilt, the price difference will be huge and the benefits will be tempting. Yes, so when can we meet? Link asked. Anytime, the other party said. Then at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Link suggested a coffee shop near his home, and the two agreed to meet. Soon, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Link arrived a few minutes early, found a seat, ordered a cup of coffee, and then took out a cigarette to smoke. At 2 o'clock on the dot, a black man pushed the door open and walked in. He looked around and walked straight to Link's position. Is this Mr. Lin? Yes, it's me, Mr. McCall. Link stood up and shook hands with the other party. Then they sat down. What would you like to drink? No need, we can start the interview directly. The other party did not order anything. So how was Mr. McCall's driving experience? Link asked. The Rolls-Royce Phantom I ordered will arrive in a month. It shouldn't be a problem. I've been driving for many years and am familiar with all kinds of vehicles. Also, I was a soldier when I was young. I have certain fighting abilities and can use firearms. The other party spoke very calmly. Link nodded slightly and asked again, do you have a criminal record? No. McCall shook his head. Very good, give me your ID and I'll check it out. Also, let's set off now. You drive my car first and we'll take a ride around. Link stood up and took out the money to put under the coffee cup. The two men walked out and got into Link's car. Link's Mustang was very powerful, but the other party started it very smoothly, and he knew the performance of the vehicle very well. It's obvious that he's a veteran as he drives around the streets of New York. He understands all the signals and signs and obeys all traffic rules. Chapter 35 The Equalizer. Half an hour later, Link asked him to park near a subway station. Give me your driver's license. I'll record it. If there is no problem, then I will hire you. Your driving skills are very good. Thank you. The other party took out his driver's license and handed it to Link. After Link made a note of it, the two parties separated. Link looked at the time and went to pick up Jessica. Jessica studied in the morning and worked out in the afternoon, and Link didn't object. His girlfriend's figure was getting better and better, so he was naturally happy. After picking her up, he went to have dinner and then returned home. While Jessica was taking a shower, he logged into the SHIELD network and investigated Robert McCall, only to find out that his resume was fake and that he was a former CIA operative. The CIA recorded that this person was dead, but there are many cases of fake death, and Link also remembered that this was McCall in The Equalizer. He faked his own death after his wife passed away, so how did he come to apply for the driver position? Did his wife just die? Did you see your own job posting while looking for a job? Link was very satisfied. This man's abilities were outstanding. He was fully qualified as a driver and bodyguard, and his character was also impeccable. The reason why he just remembered it was because he combined the investigation data. McCall probably didn't know that he could investigate his background. His information was forged by himself, but after all, he was a professional, so the forgery was very detailed. It was probably one of his cover identities. Very few people knew about this, and perhaps only he knew it. The FBI is okay, but the CIA has a lot of troubles, so it is definitely a wise choice to leave a way out for yourself in advance. Link was very satisfied, and then equipped him with a bulletproof vest and a pistol, so basically no one could threaten Jessica, and Jessica herself was not someone to be trifled with. He picked up the phone, called McCall, and said, "Mr. McCall. You have been accepted. Please come tomorrow." He gave the address of a law firm, which was first hired in a private capacity and then transferred to a charitable fund. All these personnel expenses needed to be credited to the charitable fund's account. "Thank you very much. I will be there on time tomorrow." McCall did not have too many emotional fluctuations. He just wanted a quiet life now. Being a full-time driver was not bad. He had a reading plan, a plan of 100 books, which was left by his wife before she died. As a full-time driver, you only need to take care of the car and your employer, and you can use your spare time to read. This job is good no matter how you look at it. Coulson was busy at the moment, so the director assigned Hawkeye and Black Widow to him, but did not let him use Link. The main reason is to separate Link from the case, because Link's current identity is very useful and his ability is also outstanding. The director has specifically explained to him that Link should not be involved in this matter. In addition, Wilson Fisk also did not move. On the one hand, it was to protect Link's identity, and on the other hand, it was to cover up this operation, which was specifically aimed at the Hand and the Society. The secret of the dragon bones must be kept. This matter is too big. If it is exposed, it will definitely be coveted by others, and that will be a disaster. Even within S.H.I.E.L.D., no records are kept, and all that is used are Nick Fury's secret personnel and equipment, so the movement must be kept low. Now Coulson is leading people to slowly investigate all the information of the Hand and the Society, striving to kill them with one blow and uproot all their forces. The only clue they have is a recording of Link. But Link can't continue to investigate this matter, so they take over and conduct a secret investigation. Black Widow is an expert in this regard, and Hawkeye is in charge of the action. So, everything is calm now, except that Daredevil is still taking action, but S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't care. Daredevil's real identity is a blind lawyer. This blind man can move freely. Coulson took a look at him and found that his fighting ability was only okay. And this guy pursues a policy of not killing, even when faced with lethal force, so there's no way S.H.I.E.L.D. would recruit him. Recently he discovered that Link had contact with him again, but it was about the charitable foundation that Link was going to set up to provide legal aid. There was no problem in this regard, so Coulson no longer paid attention to it. At the critical moment, Link can hold back the lawyer and prevent him from causing trouble for himself, which is also a good thing. Link has signed a contract with McCall, but he doesn't have to go to work for the time being, but there are some things that can be prepared in advance. The first thing is that McCall needs to find a place to live. Some subsidies can be given in this regard, but it is not entirely Link's responsibility. McCall can find a new place to live closer to Link's apartment. The second is clothing, suits, ties, leather shoes, etc. After all, you are driving a Rolls-Royce, and as a driver you also have to pay attention to your image. Of course, you don't need to wear a hat and white gloves. A normal mid-range suit will do. These expenses can be reimbursed. The last issue is applying for a concealed carry license and equipping yourself with a bulletproof vest. There is no rush for this and we need to wait until the charity fund is established. Link has also been paying attention to the progress of the application recently. This is not difficult. He just follows the normal procedures and has lawyers and accounting firms provide information. Link owns shares of Stark Industries worth $60 million, which is not a small amount of money. The annual dividend of 5% can be found in Stark Industries' quarterly profit report, which is public information that can be found. As a listed company, the profit report cannot be hidden. The scale was not large, so the process was completed quickly. Then Link rented an office in a not-so-large office building near Hell's Kitchen. There is no need to rent a floor as large as this. On the one hand, there is no need for it, and on the other hand, there is not enough money. It is only a quarter of a floor, shared with other companies. Link did not choose a high floor, but is located on the third floor of the office building. I brought Jessica here, and also people from the decoration company, to replan the place. One is the office of the foundation manager, Jessica, and there is an outer room, which is the office of her secretary. There must be meeting rooms, finances, legal affairs, personnel, front desk, employee cubicles, etc. Although small, it has everything. There won't be many staff members, after all, it is just a small foundation. Of course, if it expands in the future, we will naturally find a new location. Chapter 36 Short of money? Everything was slowly getting back on track. A month later, the ordered vehicle arrived and was parked in the apartment's underground parking lot. Only 2 of the 4 parking spaces were occupied. He called McCall over and asked him to familiarize himself with the car before preparing to start work. Link also asked Foggy Nelson to get McCall a gun license. The Jessica Charitable Foundation officially started operating, and the first thing to discuss was the issue of acquisition. Link took a fancy to an apartment, a small 5-story apartment that only covered an area of about 0.3 acres of land. The entire apartment belongs to one person, so just talk to the owner directly. This place was previously rented out, but after Wilson Fisk began acquiring properties in Hell's Kitchen, the owner had already started preparing, but Fisk encountered a problem. First, Karen Page discovered problems with the accounts of the United Construction Company, and then Daredevil's interference caused trouble for their business. Finally, it was the Hand and the Society that asked Fisk to first acquire large buildings. Such buildings occupy a large area, making it easier for them to dig downwards. As a result, no one came to negotiate for this small apartment in a remote location. After Link took a fancy to it, he asked Jessica to bring people to negotiate himself, which was considered as an exercise for her. When Jessica encountered something she liked, she did not go directly to the house, but investigated the homeowner and the apartment in full before going to the house with the information. As a driver, McCall naturally knew the situation more clearly. He discovered that the proprietress had a talent for investigating cases and had found out everything about the other party, giving her the upper hand during the negotiation. Soon, the negotiations were concluded and the company was fully acquired at a price of $800,000. This is the price in Hell's Kitchen, which is not as valuable as Link's previous townhouse. After all, it is too small, covering only 0.3 acres, with an area of more than square meters. Moreover, the building is old enough, having been built in 1920. We then called in several people from a design company to take a look, and they said it would be best to rebuild it, and there was no value in remodeling it, as it was almost a dangerous building. Otherwise it wouldn't be so cheap. The $800,000 is the price of the land. Jessica needs to discuss this with Link early. Honey, we bought the apartment, but the people at the design company think there's no need to renovate it. It'd be better to rebuild it, but the cost would be too much. Jessica said with a frown. Link knew it was a matter of money. He invested $1 million as initial capital, and had $200,000 left after the acquisition. This includes paying salaries and maintaining the normal operation of the law firm. No problem, I'll just invest another $1 million. There were only a few $100,000 left in Link's account, which was their daily expenses, and the bulk of it was in stocks. It is not cost-effective for Link to sell the stocks now, and it is against the operating rules of the charity foundation. Jessica has money in her account, but it is less than $1 million. She was in a bit of a dilemma as she had recently hired a coach and purchased clothes for the new season, which were both quite expensive. After Link finished speaking, he thought for a moment and said, "You discuss the plan with the design company first, and then we'll go to Las Vegas. Is it okay?" Jessica frowned. "Will you make them unhappy?" "No, it's a small amount, and I won the customer's money, not the casinos, so don't worry. Link didn't care, and if he was lucky, he would encounter another big game, then there would be no problem. Okay. Jessica nodded. Soon, she signed a contract with the design company, paid a deposit of $100,000, and talked to Murdoch and Nelson about injecting capital again without diluting their shares this time. However, this is the last payment. In the future, the operation will rely on the profits of the charity foundation, and the building will not be too high. This time, it is planned to build 4 floors. The frame design has 1 underground floor and 3 above-ground floors, with floor-to-ceiling windows used on a large scale, so the building structure is very simple. The first underground floor is a parking lot. Although it is on the edge of Hell's Kitchen, we still have to pay attention to safety. It is too easy for cars to get into accidents if they are parked outside, so we just built an underground parking lot. The ground floor is used as the reception area, where the front desk is located. It is divided into left and right areas. The left side is used for normal legal commissions, and the right side is the reception area for legal aid. The left side of the building is a partition to ensure the privacy of customers, while the right side is an open area. The second floor is the office area for lawyers and assistants, as well as a reception room for important clients, while the third floor is used by the foundation, which is responsible for the review of legal aid and other issues, and includes a conference room. That's almost enough. It is March now and the temperature is good, so we can start demolition and construction directly. It will be completed in about 4 months. Hey, Carlson, haven't you taken any action recently? Link called Carlson. You don't need to ask about this case. The main purpose is to separate you from the case and prevent Fisk from suspecting you. Carlson said, this time we are only targeting the hand and the society, especially the issue of the keel. This must be kept strictly confidential. You have to remember this. Don't worry, I know the seriousness of this situation. Since I'm not needed, I'll take Jessica out on vacation. Since we're short of funds, we're going to Las Vegas this time. Link said. Okay, that's fine. This way you'll be less suspicious. Carlson then laughed, you're just like withdrawing money. I can't help it. Who made me so awesome? Link said, but I have to change this time. I can't always go to the same place. Otherwise, if they really treat me badly, it will be troublesome. Just so you know, let me know if there's any problem. Carlson gave Link some assurance. Okay. Link then hung up the phone. Then he took Jessica off, and Tracy was very envious, as she had recently found a boyfriend, but the situation wasn't good. After arriving in Las Vegas, Link investigated the casino hotels here and checked into another one. He spent most of the day at the swimming pool, where he experienced the fun of applying sunscreen to people. Then at night he took Jessica to the casino and watched various shows. It was just like a vacation, making money was secondary. It was also the first time that Jessica saw Link playing cards, and he was really killing it, earning $1 million in just a few days. However, she also keenly discovered that the people in the casino had been targeting them on the 3rd day, but withdrew in the next 2 days. Chapter 37 Someone Sends Money Again. Link knew that the people in the casino noticed them, but then withdrew their attention. Even if he didn't use X-Sight now, he could kill everyone with the help of psychology. People who play in casinos all have psychological flaws, and it is easy to discover their mental activities. Link is quite famous now, especially in Las Vegas. They know a lot about professional gamblers. People like Link who are quite famous in New York are naturally paying attention to him. Link had won big poker games before and had tens of millions in cash assets, but the casino didn't know that Link had purchased shares in Stark Industries. At present, Link is also a high-quality resource for casinos. This casino hotel is also preparing for a big poker game at this time. The participants are either rich or noble. This is something they often do to meet the needs of their guests. Of course, the needs of these guests are different. Some seek excitement, some pursue victory, some hope to win money, and some want to compete. It is said that money can buy everything here, and casino hotels need to satisfy their guests. Just the consumption and commission of these guests are enough to make them earn a lot of money. Professional gamblers like Link all have their own circles, but most of them will participate in Gambling King competitions. Once they win the championship, they will not only get huge profits, but will also be valued by the casino. Either being hired as a technical director or directly getting some scattered shares would bring huge profits, but Link was unwilling to participate because these profits were dispensable to him. He also doesn't want to be tied to the casino because his hidden identity is an agent. He likes the identity of an agent more. He can get stronger just by basking in the sun. He has no system and does not need to seek ways to become stronger. His life should be more colorful. He is very satisfied now. Interesting, colorful, and now he has a girlfriend. He has everything he lacked in his previous life. What else does he want? Mr. Lin, would you like to attend a card game? The casino staff showed up a few days later, and by this time Link's winnings had exceeded $5 million. He won a little too much this time, and he found that he had too little cash left, which would affect Jessica's purchase of luxury goods, especially her favorite underwear. Of course, but I wonder who will be attending? Link asked with a smile. It's not convenient to introduce their identities, just do your best, said the casino manager. Link raised his eyebrows, then nodded and said, no problem, exchange all the chips I deposited. By the way, what's the time? I'll ask someone to invite you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. After saying this, the hotel manager turned and left. In front of them, Link still seemed very weak, but Link didn't care. These guys thought he was easy to control, and that was the best. In this way, there might be more big games looking for him in the future. Of course, if someone doesn't follow the rules, that's a good thing. I don't mind using S.H.I.E.L.Ds resources. After all, I'm a level 6 agent. Jessica, who was concerned about the side, was wearing an evening gown and approached Link and asked, I don't feel well. Don't worry, someone is sending us money. Although they don't want to reveal their identity, it doesn't matter. Link smiled, at least they don't dare to move in the hotel. Jessica frowned, but didn't say much. She knew from the beginning that her boyfriend was a professional gambler, and it would be difficult to have a stable career. The next night, after finishing their dinner, the two returned to their room and changed their clothes. Link wore a custom-made suit and Jessica changed into an evening gown. Then the hotel staff arrived and invited them to the VIP box. This time, Link didn't have to wait. There were already 4 people waiting here. It was obvious that they knew each other and they must have something to discuss. On the semicircular table, Link took a cigar and a bottle of bourbon, then sat on the far right with Jessica. He observed carefully and found that there were 1 woman and 3 men present, including 2 old men, 1 black and 1 white, and 2 young people, 1 man and 1 woman, both white. Antonio, it's not too late to regret now. The black old man said with a smile. The white old man had a serious expression and said, Sloane, there are 3 of us, my children and I, and there is also a master hired by the casino. You may not be able to win. Okay, let's see how lucky we are. Sloane turned to look at the dealer, let's get started. Link looked at the chips on his table at this time. There were 10 million chips. The casino had not mentioned it before, and his chips were not enough, so the casino replenished him with more than 4 million. Don't think they are kind, but they know they have the ability to repay. Link smiled slightly and smoked his cigar without saying a word. Jessica was very nervous and sat on Link's right side, but she didn't dare to speak for fear of disturbing Link. Link noticed it, patted her hand, and said, relax a little. If you are tired, you can go to the side to rest and have a drink. It doesn't matter. This is the first time I see you play cards. Jessica forced a smile. It seems like I need to take you out to play more often in the future so you can get used to it. Link laughed. He acted as if no one was around, and the dealer had already started dealing the cards. The 5 people each put in $10,000 as a base bet. When the game started, Link found that the old man named Antonio and Sloane were the calmest. Antonio's children were also a little nervous. It seemed that they were going to use the gambling to do something. In the first few games, Link almost never followed the opponent, so he lost the game. His focus was on observing Sloane, who was the calmest one. Even Sloane's heartbeat didn't change much, although it did increase slightly when he was looking at the cards. Link can now not only use his X-Vision, but also his super hearing to hear everyone's heartbeat, and Jessica's heartbeat is the loudest. Hey, aren't you a master? The young man looked at Link after a few rounds. Link smiled and said, it seems that the casino didn't introduce me. My card skills are average, but I am good at psychology. I am observing, but now I am almost there. Deal, he said to the dealer. Old Antonio turned to his son and said, Santino, keep calm. Good father. Santino Antonio immediately acted obediently. The woman next to him, who judging by her age should be his sister, had the corners of her mouth slightly raised and looked very happy. Link understood that the relationship between the siblings was not harmonious, and he could take advantage of it. Link then started to kill everyone, even Sloane was no match for him, and Link's chips gradually increased. Chapter 38 being followed. The four people finally began to take Link seriously. He was indeed a master hired by the casino, and he had figured out all four of them. Sloane looked at Link curiously, but didn't say anything. The same went for old Antonio. The woman seemed very interested in Link. The one who couldn't keep his temper the most was Saint Dino. He looked at Link with some annoyance. His temper just now made him look like a fool. Link's previous judgment was correct. There is a competitive relationship between the siblings. Now Santino feels that his previous actions have caused his father's dissatisfaction. And now Link's killing spree makes him look very stupid, which is very bad for his future. Link didn't care about the other party's fiery eyes and continued to win. This was a lot of money, enough for him to buy another batch of Stark Industries shares. Besides, the tax payment period has passed, so he can wait until next year to pay the next tax, so he has plenty of time. Smoking a cigar and tasting bourbon from time to time, Jessica relaxed at this time and watched Link killing everyone with great interest. She even stood up and poured herself a glass of champagne. Before 12 o'clock, Link won all the chips. Sloane stood up and clapped his hands, saying, "Very impressive. The young man has very good skills." Link also stood up and said, "I'm a professional gambler. I'm best at psychology. If you need anything, you can always contact me. I'm in New York. Of course, you are a good opponent. Can you give me a business card?" Sloane didn't seem to care at all about losing $10 million. Link gave him a business card. Sloane didn't leave anything behind, and turned to old Antonio and said, "We all lost, it's a tie this time." Then they left directly. Link didn't know what the two sides talked about, but he didn't care too much. Old Antonio also looked at Link and said, "Young man, I wonder if you will accept the offer." "No, I won't accept it. I have never lost since my debut. Once I accept someone's employment, I will definitely win." Link shook his head, "But then the gambling game will no longer be under my control." "That makes sense." Old Antonio nodded, then turned and left. His daughter gave Link a wink, then turned and left. It was Saint Dino who raised his hand and pointed at Link, then turned and left. Jessica asked at this time, "Honey, will there be any trouble?" "No, how could there be any trouble?" Link sneered, "Okay, we won a lot this time, we can go home now." He turned to the hotel manager and said, "Change it into cash and deposit it into my account." "Okay, Mr. Lin," the other party said politely. However, when Link received the call from the bank, he knew that this casino was not so generous. Not only did they deduct the previous 400 yuan, but they also took a 10% commission. Link only got a little over 40 million. This Link will never come again. It is not generous at all. The next day, the two of them left the hotel by car and flew back to New York. Link invested another $1 million and then transferred $5 million into Jessica's account. He found Langley and bought back another 3,000 shares of Stark Industries, leaving the remaining several million for living expenses. Every morning at 9 o'clock, McCall would come to the underground parking lot of the apartment. After Jessica came downstairs and got in the car, he would take her to the office of Jessica's charity foundation. The office had been renovated, and now Jessica went there to recruit people every day. Some relevant personnel still need to be recruited, after all, the foundation now has stocks worth 90 million. Link also has a position here, which is investment director, and he is responsible for the foundation's investments. Jessica is mainly responsible for charity matters. The foundation needs to review the free cases accepted by the law firm, and there are quite a few situations involved. Criminal cases generally do not generate income, but civil compensation cases do. Once the lawsuit is won, it will no longer be included in the funding sequence and attorney fees will be charged as usual. Link is not going to work at the foundation for the time being, as there is no need for investment and he is a bit idle now. There are not card games every day, and there are only a few games a month, usually on weekends. Link took the car keys, got up and went downstairs, got in his car, and merged into the New York traffic amid the roar. He didn't think about what else he could do, because he would probably be very busy starting from next year, so the free time now was only temporary. Hey! Link was driving and doing nothing when he suddenly realized someone was staring at him. It was easy to notice. This was the first time that he was being targeted. Even Wilson Fisk didn't send anyone to keep an eye on him. So, combined with recent events, it was easy for him to guess who it was, that Santino Antonio. Link's car started driving towards Hell's Kitchen. After entering Hell's Kitchen, he chose a secluded parking lot, parked the car, took the keys, got out, and left on foot. The stalker also stopped the car and followed on foot, and Link walked into an alley. The tracker followed him into the alley, but Link's figure disappeared. He immediately became alert and pulled out a pistol with a silencer. Holding guns in both hands, he walked forward vigilantly. There were a lot of debris and trash cans in the alley, and the tracker searched carefully as he moved forward. But he didn't know that Link was floating above his head and came here just to avoid some surveillance. Link quietly landed behind the opponent, stretched out his hand, grabbed the back of the opponent's neck, and then lifted him up. The stalker instantly grabbed the back of his neck with a huge force, and his feet left the ground. He wanted to resist, but he could not move at all. He held the gun in one hand, trying to pass it through his armpit and shoot from behind, but the pistol was taken away by the other party in an instant. Bang! Link snatched the other person's pistol, then threw the man directly against the wall, knocking him unconscious. When the other party came to his senses, he sat on the ground against the wall and looked up at him in horror. Link smiled and asked, "Okay, now tell me, why are you following me, and holding a pistol with a silencer? It's obvious that you want to kill me, right?" The stalker said nothing and just looked at Link. Link pointed his gun at the other man's forehead and said, "I'll count to 3. If you don't say anything, then there's no need to say anything. 3. 2. Chapter 39 Madman? You can't escape. You've been put on the bounty list. The killer will keep finding you and then killing you." The other party finally spoke, and Link also understood that he had been put on the bounty list. He asked curiously, "How much am I worth?" $300,000. The other party did not hide it, and then grinned, "You are dead. Where is the bounty on me?" Link asked, "I don't need to know the employer's name, I just need to know where the bounty is on me, how about that?" "Continental Hotel," the killer said, "do you want to go?" Puff puff. Link fired 2 shots in a row and killed the man directly. Then he squatted down and searched. He found 2 spare magazines, some cash and 2 gold coins on the killer's upper body. Holding the gold coin, Link observed it carefully, and was curious, are there mainland hotels in this world? He turned around and left with the gun, returned to the parking lot and drove away, then took out his phone and called Carlson, "Do you know the Continental Hotel?" "Yes, what's the matter?" Carlson asked. "Send me the address, I want to go and take a look." Link didn't tell anyone that he was wanted. He had nothing to do right now, so he might as well go and take a look. "No problem, I'll send it to you now." Carlson then hung up the phone and sent the address. He was not worried about Link. Link's strength is not weak, whether it is shooting or fighting, plus his attainments in psychology, generally speaking, he will not have any problems. Like he wouldn't worry about Hawkeye and Black Widow. Link doesn't have his own code name yet, because these code names were not given by S.H.I.E.L.D., but were made up by himself. Link glanced at the text message, then stepped on the accelerator and drove straight to the Continental Hotel. Soon, he arrived at the Continental Hotel, which was built on a triangular piece of land with the main entrance at a corner, and was relatively small. Link parked the car at the door, handed the key and tip to the doorman, and walked straight in. As soon as I entered the door, I saw the front desk opposite me. There was only a bald black man wearing glasses standing there. It was indeed the Continental Hotel I knew. The front desk clerk was probably Karen, the right-hand man of Winston, the manager of the Continental Hotel in New York. Walking up to the front desk, Link asked, "How can I see your manager?" "Sir, do you have an appointment?" Karen saw a stranger. He had almost no impression of ordinary people, after all, he had been working as a receptionist here for a long time. "No, but I think Mr. Winston would like to see me. After all, I should have been rewarded by you just now." Link grinned, "I need an explanation for this matter." Karen's pupil shrank. This was the first time a person with a bounty on his head came here and stood in front of him demanding an explanation. Please wait a moment. Karen picked up the phone and dialed it. After a few seconds, the other party picked up the phone. Sir, there is a guest who wants to see you. Oh. Winston was also stunned. This happened to him once before, but it was obvious that the other party had the confidence to do so. Okay, bring him to the garden. Winston said and put down the phone. He was thinking about who this person was. After all, the daily reward was not small. Karen put down the phone and said, Please follow me. Mr. Winston is waiting for you. Link followed directly, and the two soon came to the hotel's terrace garden. Winston was sitting at a long table, smoking a cigar and drinking tea. The sun was nice today. Link walked over and came directly to Winston's side, which made Karen very nervous. After all, the other party was not one of them and might not know the rules of the mainland hotel. However, Link did not do anything out of the ordinary. Instead, he opened the cigar box in front of Winston, took out a cigar, and then put it under his nose and smelled it. Good stuff. Link picked up the cigar cutter, cut the end, and then walked over to sit down opposite Winston. Tell me, is this the reward offered by Santino Antonio? Link took out a lighter and toasted the cigar as if this was his territory. Winston smiled and said, You are very courageous young man. No, it's you who are brave enough to offer a bounty on anyone. Link held the cigar in his mouth, lit it, and took a deep breath. After savoring it for a moment, he blew out smoke rings. He's dead. He'll have to pay a heavy price before he dies. I have to let people know that I am not someone who can be manipulated at will. Winston was stunned for a moment, then asked, Young man, I remember you. Your name is Kailin, a Chinese. We do have a bounty on you, but you can rest assured that killing is not allowed in the Continental Hotel. But once you walk out of here, you can't say for sure. Link laughed, but then he continued to smoke his cigar. Thinking in his heart whether he should use the identity of SHIELD. If you use this identity, it will undoubtedly be the easiest, but once you use it, you will not be able to continue your cover identity as a professional gambler. He likes his current identity very much, and Carlson did not let him participate in the mission of the Destroyer and the Society before, just to let him maintain his current status. Link took another puff and said, It seems you are not going to cancel it. Of course. Winston said, The Continental Hotel will be closed unless the employer cancels it. But that will come at a price. Very good, I will be here tonight, and I hope you will be prepared. Link said, We will each be responsible for any consequences. Winston was a little incredulous and asked, Are you kidding? Of course not. You can prepare as many people as possible. I will use you as my stepping stones. I just remembered that I still lack a title. Link looked up at the sky. This opportunity is good. I will step on you to get to the top. This will be my battle to become famous. Winston felt that the person in front of him was a lunatic. Do you know what you are talking about? What's the difference? Link asked back, I've already been offered a bounty, even though it's only $300,000, but trouble will keep coming. Since I can't solve the trouble, then I can just solve the troublemaker. Isn't this a good idea? Thank you for the cigar. Link stood up, holding the cigar in his mouth, and took out 2 gold coins from his suit pocket. Ding ding. As if it was a reward, remember to prepare more people. I will arrive on time at midnight. If there are not enough people, I will be very disappointed. After saying that, Link walked away. Karen looked at Link's back, then turned and asked, Sir, what do we do now? Chapter 40 Stepping Stone. Winston's face was gloomy. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation in his more than 40 years at the Continental Hotel in New York. However, he would not allow the other party's provocation, but the question was, would the other party really come? Notify Santino and ask him to come here and prepare manpower. The Continental Hotel cannot be provoked. After Winston finished speaking, he picked up the phone and dialed. He called old Antonio. Mr. Antonio, your son has posted a reward at the Continental Hotel in New York. The other party came to our door and threatened to attack us tonight. Do you know who the other party is? Old Antonio didn't know what was happening with his son. He had a terminal illness and would soon die. Sloan, who was met in Las Vegas before, is the leader of the Assassin's League. The Assassin's League has a long history of thousands of years, and they had no conflicts with each other before. However, the code of conduct of the Assassin's League changed a few years ago, and there was friction between the two sides. However, the assassins of the Assassins' League are more powerful than the killers in the Continental Hotel, which means that they have too few people. The negotiations between the two sides were mainly aimed at preventing the Assassins' League from entering Italy. After all, that was the family's base. Both sides lost at the gambling table, so it was a draw. I don't know about this. Lin is a professional gambler. But he actually said this now. It seems that he is not simple. Old Antonio said. You can do your best. If you need the help of the board of directors, then I can help. I don't need any help here for now, but I want Santino to come over in the evening. Winston said. Okay, since he provoked it, I'll let him go. Old Antonio hung up the phone. Link drove back home and opened his small arsenal, then frowned and closed it again. He turned around and left home again, drove to the industrial area, found a small processing factory, and asked them to make throwing knives for him. This time the battle is indoors, so guns are not necessarily needed. I gave the boss $50,000 and asked them to start making throwing knives with all their strength. Link made one in the style of a willow leaf throwing knife. With its own strength, it is enough to penetrate any bulletproof suit. He didn't plan to use his own weapons. After all his weapons were obtained from S.H.I.E.L.D. This matter did not require S.H.I.E.L.D.'s support. It was just a New York Continental Hotel. And he also hopes to have some characteristics. After all, Hawkeye, Black Widow and even Iron Cavalry are code names he made up, and he also wants to come up with one of his own. He called Jessica and asked her to come to Tracy's house that night, then hung up without explanation. Jessica must be worried, but she would be even more worried if this matter was explained now. Link also understood that he couldn't always appear too weak and low-key. It was nice that the casino invited me to play the game, but since the guest didn't follow the rules, the casino would treat me differently depending on my situation. Most people wouldn't do this, and this Saint Dino is obviously too arrogant. Link thought of this guy when he thought of the Continental Hotel. He was a villain in John Wick. This guy has no moral bottom line. In order to get a seat at the high table, he hired a killer to kill his own sister, and then offered a reward for the killer's life, under the pretext of revenge for his sister. He has been drifting further and further away on the road of doing nothing. After losing the card game, he found a killer? What he cared about was not the money, but his own face. He felt that Link had made him lose face, which was not uncommon to him. Moreover, it was easy for Link to guess that it was him. Now he was given a chance. In S.H.I.E.L.D., he was not a core member for the time being. Nick Fury might be interested in training him, but he still lacked a record. Then use the Continental Hotel in New York as your stepping stone. It was not until 10 o'clock in the evening that Link stopped the factory and checked. There were hundreds of willow leaf throwing knives. The small factory's processing capacity was not strong, and they did not have molds, so they first made the molds and then started to work. $50,000 was worth their one day of stopping work just to serve Link. Link left with his things. He was wearing a pair of jeans, Martin boots, and a black cotton t-shirt. He tied a sports fanny pack around his waist, put all the lancets in it, and drove to the Continental Hotel, arriving an hour early. He stopped far away, got out and leaned against the car, then took out a cigar and a bottle of bourbon, put the wine on the hood, and then handled the cigar carefully. He planned to slowly enjoy a cigar and a bottle of bourbon for an hour. Inside the hotel, Winston was drinking tea in the terrace garden. While in the lobby on the first floor, there were dozens of killers sitting or standing, and there were also killers in each room. This time, Winston did not use the power of the hotel, but instead gathered a large number of killers here. The reward of $300,000 is a lot. And Santino Antonio was also in the terrace garden. He didn't take it seriously at this moment. He didn't believe that the arrogant guy could come here. If it wasn't for his father's order, he wouldn't have come here. Winston, you are too cautious. Do you really think that man can make it here? Asked Saint Dino. No, I don't think so, but he was the first guy to provoke the Continental Hotel. Winston said, so we must take it seriously and make him pay the price to warn those who come later. Winston didn't tell the truth. He actually thought there were two possibilities. One was that Link was killed as a warning to others. Another possibility is that he and Link really come here to fight, and then he is ready to hand over Santino. As for what happens in the future, that will need to be resolved by the high table. He had no intention of using his own power. There were also Saint Dino's people outside, guarding the entrance to the terrace garden. Link looked at the time. It was 5 minutes until midnight, and he couldn't be late. He picked up the bottle and drank it in one gulp, then slowly walked over with the cigar, while reaching into his waist bag and taking out a throwing knife. When he arrived at the door, he looked at the time and found that it was just a few seconds late. He walked straight into the door. The moment he entered, the assassins in the lobby looked over. Link bit his cigar and smiled. "Hi!" Everyone moved and started drawing their guns. They did not leave their weapons outside. Swish, swish, Link raised his hands and the flying knife in his hand flew out directly. Puff, puff. End of this chapter. Like and subscribe for more chapter.